should be back up and running now, so hopefully things should be back up and running. You see a couple of cars going off in the background. Matthew Orvech going off, Mark Freischa going off as well, and then you just had Haley go off at the final corner as well. But for the most part, everything is looking more or less stable as one could expect it to be. So we've had ourselves in with some good racing action so far later in the game. Jeff Carollo has just had another spin. This is approaching, I think, the tower turn? No, this is the hairpin. And that lazy spin that we are so used to seeing will kick the Vulture Motorsports machine around. So around will go Jeff Carollo, but overall we are still looking very stable. Right now, a battle is on for 8th place in GT Pro. So we are still running with this GT Pro battle here for RPM Racing and Race for Cat Motorsports as everything is looking set to duke it out on the racetrack. And this is a gap that was initially separated by just about a quarter of a second, and well, Freischa will take the Race for Cat Motorsport machine down into pit road, decided against wanting to duke it out for the position. So we'll be down and out just for the time being as we will keep on the action going forward. Ward still leads the way in GTP overall. Christian Kemprager is into the pits for Rising Panda Motorsports in LMP2. Manuel Myers picked up the lead in GT Pro, still running strong there as well. And then it is still Kaprowski who has been leading an ever-dominant charge in your GTM class as well. So I have really, I've got big hopes to see how this race is going to pan on out as racing action will get set to continue on into this closing 2.5 hours. And we have not had a caution flag since almost the halfway point. So this is by far the longest we have gone at any point throughout the season without a safety car. And you can tell it is allowed for this field to continue to extend out more and more, Austin, as Patrick Doers had a spin in the Audi.
Yeah, this field has spread tremendously over the course of the last few hours. Like you mentioned, no caution to bunch the field back up. Gives the field plenty of time to spread out in good ways as we see the 21 trying to right the ship after spinning out, gets it way off the racetrack. Ends up doing a good job getting back going the right way, not taking anybody else out after his mistake. But I'm looking at the GTM field. Look at this, Kaprowski, +1 lap over second place, his teammate Orvex. I mean, what in the heck? What is that 93 doing? 1 lap over the entire field? Ridiculous. Ridiculous from the entire team to be running that fast out here in the wet, that consistent. Great job from the entire team. Great job
to keep
from
things up and running where it's at. So the Digital Chicane Ferrari knows how to put that car up into an absolute fine standing. And having lapped the entire GTM field, I think it is very safe to say that car is by far the favorite to win the 12 Hours of Sebring. We are almost ready for slick tires as well, I think, as the rain has, I think, fully stopped now from Florida, and you can see the rooster tails behind these cars, and the spray is growing lesser and lesser. So it won't be long now before we are racing just in the pure dry on the racetrack again, and this race will be untainted by weather throughout the duration of this race. I do wonder, you know, did we see anything potentially go down within the weather that has caused us to get these big field spreads that we have now? We do have a potential problem for the World of Sim Racing team, Cadillac. Looking like Danny Fonte has had a technical problem and is out of the race.
Yeah, it's a tough break. Having to take that tow back to pit road really hurts their opportunity to get a good finish out of this thing, having to lose another couple laps. Obviously, very unfortunate being one of the top 3 guys in the GTP category, being up there, being able to at least have a chance, right? If a caution came out, they were going to be right there. They were going to have an opportunity to at least challenge Selena Ward. But unfortunately, with the disconnect, it's going to cost them at least a lap, right? They're going to take the tow, and then maybe they'll go ahead and... Nah, there's no way they change over to slicks, right? I'm still seeing massive spray. Maybe they could at least mitigate the damage if the grip levels are good enough, and maybe Selena Ward's thinking the grip levels are good enough because she's coming down right now, down to pit road. I was thinking this may be a little bit early, so maybe it's to the end of her fuel window, or maybe this is where she wants to put on those slick tires.
Well, we'll see here, right? And I think seeing the lap times here could tell a story. Selena Ward is jumping out of the car. Jordan Erickson is hopping into the car. So 2.5 hours left, and Erickson will be in the car quite possibly for the remainder of this race. We'll see. There might be one other driver that has yet to hop in to the Trading Paints racing machine, but for now, Erickson looks like he is going to be the one that will take them at least to within the final 90 minutes.
And the tread is still on that thing. So I'm a little nervous for, for Selena Ward in the 19. Erickson now in the car. I'm a little nervous for them because I feel like they're going to have to come back down pit road relatively early.
Possibly. They possibly might have to come in early. I'm not 100%. I know they can't make it to the end on just a 2-stopper. They're looking at least 2 stops from here to the end because it's about 50 minutes or so for a GTP on full fuel, So Erickson for sure has got a ways to go yet before this race is over. As, whoa, the Scours S's car is off. And that is Mason that has found himself off of the hairpin.
Even with the track drying out a little bit, we're still seeing mistakes, and that's probably because we're starting to see people push the issue a little bit more. I think they're starting to find a little bit more grip, so maybe they're thinking about going just a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, and they go a little bit too deep, and it just comes back to bite them. And unfortunately, they get hit with child support.
I beg your pardon? I have no response to that. Yeah. Probably.
I'd turn that into something it shouldn't have been. But, hey.
I would not.
Top tier jokes. We're going to stand up. Would you like to be my stand-up partner? Why? We make a great team.
No, that's too much.
I could bother you about South Talladega.
I'm not even going to humor that. Nicholas Goen and Jordan Mason were within a second and a half. This was the battle for 8th and 9th in LMP2 that was starting to pick up. And right now, Goen Racing is in the fight with your current LMP2 leader, Rising Panda Racing. In fact, just unlapped himself from Rising Panda Racing. He's still trying to close up trying to drive away, from Scours S's Racing, 2.8 seconds behind him.
Yeah, a couple different battles starting to close up. Looking at Mason here in the 0.48, down in 9th place in the LMP2. Ooh, going deep, going way too deep. We've seen that multiple times in that corner, man. It just seems like it's the most troublesome spot on the racetrack down into turn 7. I don't know. I think on the apex it's a little bit of a dip down into the apex, and then you rise back out of it. And for whatever reason, in that dip,
Aaron Beaver and then
like
John Jones as well having similar problems
on the apex.
Off of the final corner. As around will go the 34 machine. That was off at turn 1, and then just seconds later, John Jones also going around. Same corner, turn 1.
Yeah, just taking that thing a little too fast there, and a little too narrow going in, and unfortunately got that thing spun around. Not too surprising. I mean, we've just seen issue after issue after issue, man. It's just, I feel like we're going to get better as soon as it gets dry.
I don't think it's ever going to be fully
I don't think it's going to get
because
back to what it was.
The track
it's not going to get
fully
perfect.
Rubbered in as well if you want to really get that perfect nature back. And you're not going to be able to rubber at a track with 9 hours worth of rubber in the span of 2.5. It's just not going to happen. The track, whoa! That was Ronald Grosjean that was stopped at pit exit and is blocking pit entry, and I think that just caused another Porsche to almost spin it out as he was trying to make his way back out onto the racetrack.
Well, I thought the chaos might be getting done here pretty soon, but that's proven to be
Just loses it.
wrong. Down, coming out of turn 17.
And then here he's going to back it up, and now he's blocking pit entry for cars that are trying to potentially make it into pit road, and he stays here for a good while. Here comes Scowers trying to come to pit road. Gets by, and then here comes the RPM Porsche trying to get by as well. And I thought that Porsche had gone into the wall for sure.
Yeah, that could have been recovered a little better. I hate to pick on him too heavily, but that was a little sketchy, man. I would put a lot of guys in danger there getting down to pit road.
So I think right now the big problem that a lot of these folks have got is that they don't know quite where this race is going to go, right? We don't know when this track is going to dry out. We don't know if it's going to dry out. You got 2.5 hours left to go. How do you approach the final, 2 some hours of this race now?
Well, I think you got to reset with the dry, right? As soon as you put on your first set of dry tires, and everybody's kind of put on those dry tires, I feel like that's where you reassess. That's where you figure out where you're at and what you need to do to get to the end of this race. So I think we're still a little bit of ways away from that. Maybe another 10 minutes until we change over to dries. I'm still seeing some rooster tails in a lot of sections, but it's starting to dry out in other sections. So I feel like we're nearing that point. And once we get to it, that's where we reassess.
I think you're kind of right in the fact that is where we're going to try to reassess here after things come to a close, right? Is to try to see how this is all going to pan on out. Right now, I think the big factor is just try to survive this transition period, and then you can be there to fight for these spots at the end. Theo Taylor has gone off the track as well, and has again looped the back of the 42 stitches right out of pit road. And that's on a section that has not had the chance to be dried out at all from the line, because not a lot of drivers are coming in and out of pit road, let alone at race speed.
No, not at all whatsoever. And then going down into the final corner here, battle for, not really a battle, it's a couple of different classes battling here. 8th in GTP, 6th in LMP2. Well, I say that, actually a GTM they're getting by. But
another problem for the RPM Racing Machine and Robert Lancaster. They go off again on the exit of turn 1, and then Race for Cat Motorsport just a second ago did the exact same thing. Turn 1 catching a lot of people out still, despite us being super late in the race. Patrick Doer having an incident now, and this was in GT Pro. Again, fresh out of pit road for the Audi.
Man, it's just been tough exiting pit road ever since it's gotten wet, and it's starting to dry out. But, and you could see a lot of these guys coming out of pit road, they could start, or they could be starting to put on dry tires. So we could be seeing the fact that the pit road exit is wet and they're putting on slicks, and there's just not any grip out there, and they're overestimating the grip that they're going to get on pit road exit.
So who knows at this point, right? How this is going to work? I mean, Souza still runs with the race lead as we got another car going off the circuit, and that is one of the LMP2 machines. Jordan Erickson is back into pit road and is looking to be getting another tire change, getting back out onto the racetrack as this event goes along. So racing action not looking like it's going to be far away from closing out now, as we keep on keeping on in what has so far been a very intense race from Sebring, and an exhausting one as well. I mean, these drivers so far have not had a point in the season where they have gone this long under green. That has to wear down on your mental fatigue a lot.
So I would typically agree with you, except for the fact that, you know, we've got driver changes. So these guys got plenty of time to take a break, right? They've got plenty of time to sit back and relax. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know that fatigue will come into play too much. Maybe if this was a 24-hour race, I'd be a little bit more nervous with that, because everybody's got to regulate their sleep in some way. But with a 12-hour, everybody finishing it in one day, not having to take a break and sleep, I feel like fatigue shouldn't become too bad. Now, in any given stint, especially with the rain, having to really finesse these cars around and not really break traction, I imagine maybe it took a little bit more of a toll out of these guys, but that's, again, what the driver changers are there for. You got plenty of teammates there to pick up the slack whenever maybe you can't stay out for much longer.
Robert Lancaster and Mark Freiksha for Race for Cat Motorsport. Getting a bit closer, we finally have another on-track battle here. This is for 8th and 9th in your GT Pro field. And Ryan Kaprowski, the digital chicane leader, has just taken a jump to pit road. What has happened to the digital chicane leader? He was out by a whole lap. Has he just had a problem and DC'd from the session? I'm not showing a crash.
What is going on with all the DCs? I feel like it's been I feel like we've seen way too many DCs today, ruining multiple races for a lot of these guys, putting people laps down.
That has put Lucas Santos back into the race lead. Whoa, look out as RPM Racing, hard into the barriers. Huge crash for Robert Lancaster. Souza's into pit road at the same time, and that was a tremendous hit. Oh my gosh!
Man, you can take the rain away, but they're still gonna crash like it was there. And I mean, it's probably because it's still there a little bit. My goodness.
No
just
kidding.
The biggest hip check
I've
ever seen in my life.
He
This
just
was
turned the
hockey
LMP2
called
car like it
boarding,
wasn't
and you'd
there.
be ejected from the game with how heavy that one was. Yeah, he killed him. I mean, he absolutely destroyed him. I don't.
Oh my
I mean,
word.
he had to have not known that they were even there, right? He had to have not had any idea.
Oh, that is a tough break.
I don't know how he couldn't, but that's the only. There's just no way. Well, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Could you imagine going 9 hours and 45 minutes and you're just minding your business on the inside? Bam! You're done. You're out of here. You're pincered into the inside fence, and you're skating out to the grass on the outside.
Car 93, that is Ryan Kaprowski's machine. DC due to issues with rendering the rain. An issue that multiple drivers currently seem to be struggling with. Yeah, so Kaprowski making his way back out onto the racetrack.
Are you serious? Yep. He was leading this thing by a lap. I can't believe this. The 93. It's heartbreaking. Digital chicane 93. I couldn't even imagine, man. You've ran 10 hours, a perfect 10 hours, to where you have put a lap on the entire field, and you've got to come down, or you've got to lag out and take the tow, come back out on the racetrack. I'm still not sure exactly where they're at because it hasn't updated on our timing and scoring. So we'll get that to you as soon as we figure out exactly where they're at. But no matter where it is, you got to feel terrible for them. Unless they're still in the lead, then I guess it just makes it a better race in the GTM category.
Man, I mean, I don't even know what to say to that one. I mean, that's a new level, right? So I don't know how that's going to pan out. I mean, the fact that so many drivers have had issues with the rain, right? It does beg the question, right? You know, what does this pose long term for a series if they want to continue to have rain in the races going forward, or if they want to make it so it's a possibility in races going forward? I mean, do you want to, because they obviously, VSCA strives for realism, right? Do you want to sacrifice the realism of having realistic weather, though, if it's impacting, you know, so many drivers in the field?
It just depends on how many drivers we're talking about. Are we talking about 20%? If we're talking like 20%, then maybe we should just say, okay, well, don't have that guy drive during the rain. And you know, if you're willing to risk it, then go ahead. But if it's like 50, 60, 70% of the guys, then yeah, of course you can't manage that. So it doesn't seem to be that bad though, from what I'm seeing. We haven't had, I mean, we've had a lot, but it hasn't been that many of the guys that are on the racetrack. At least it doesn't seem. So I'm hopeful. I think that we're probably fine with the rain. Just, you know, if you've got a PC that can't handle it, then just don't drive during the rain. Give it over to a teammate. Well, then I guess you're just SOL. I mean, that's the thing, right? If it comes down to percentages, if it's 20%, the odds are you've got at least one guy that can run in the rain. But if it's 50% of the league is going to be lagging out, then of course not. You can't. There's no way. Every team's going to have multiple drivers that are compromised to the rain. So I don't know. Just like I said, it just comes down to what percentage of the guys in the league are having problems with it. And I don't think it's that serious. That's why I'm suggesting what I'm suggesting. I don't think that the number is that high.
Vito Miranda has had an issue, two possible issues, in fact, as this is coming out of Sunset Bend again on a still greasy track. Gets into the secondary of the Tri-State Racing cars, spins it around, and I think has found the fence. Whoa! Look! Oh my gosh! Spawns right back in and gets clipped by one of the GTPs, and everyone else has to scramble to go evasive before they are forced to take a tow.
Looking at Beaver coming around. Trying to do a good job in that 34. We've seen that 34 sideways on a handful of occasions during the wet weather portion, unfortunately. Doing a good job keeping it on right now as a little bit of faster traffic gets on through. The GTP battle up front is tightening up a little bit. It's not super close, but the 19, 88, 51, all within 10 seconds of each other up at the front of the field. Nearing that 2-hour mark. Again, we haven't had a caution for 5 hours, so I imagine we're gonna get one at some point, but
quite possibly. I mean, it is looking that way, isn't it? That we could very well go yellow free for the remainder of this race, doesn't it? I mean, there hasn't been any reason for us to get into a caution rhythm yet.
Knowing our luck, we're somehow going to have 3 cautions in the last 2 hours. And just restart after restart after restart. I imagine the first caution, if we do have one, will be a pretty long one because we've got so many lap cars. The running order is all over the place. whenever the pace car picks up the GTP leader, it's gonna give so many different people wave arounds, and we're gonna be in for a crazy time getting the running order settled on the restart. So if a caution does come out, I think we're gonna have a heck of a time getting this thing going again.
So just over 2 hours left to go. We're going to take another chance here to swing through the entire duration of this field, and we'll once again let you know who's where. As whoa, around will go Aaron Beaver, middle of turn number 1, just as we were saying that. So Beaver will spin it around, but currently headed up the way, and it's Jordan Erickson for Trading Paints Racing. Rudy Souza down in second. Alvaro Martinez is third. Fogel is in fourth with Peterson in fifth. Stop and Go Racing sits in the number 6 spot, 1 lap down with Rising Panda with Fisher Motorsports in 7th. Team Hardcore is 8th. Grizzly Motorsports is 9th. And Decent Racing Esports team rounds out the top 10. For your LMP2 field at the moment, Christian Kempreger for Rising Panda Racing picks it up in the LMP2 category. Tri-State Racing is in second with FRS Sim Sports in third. GSC Racing Esports is in fourth with Tri-State Racing in fifth. Texas Speed Sim Racing is sixth. BRG Sport in seventh. Galvin Racing is eighth. Scowers SS Racing is ninth. Vice Motorsports and Fisher Motorsports rounds out 11th. And Austin, you've got the GTs.
Starting with the GT Pro category, our race leader currently going to be the Fisher Motorsport Porsche 84. Second place is going to be the Fisher Motorsport Porsche number 44. Third place is going to be the Digital Spirit DS Racing number 992. Fourth place, Texas Speed Sim Racing Blue. Fifth place, the number 6 of TFR GTD. Seventh is going to be the 151 World of Sim Racing Team. 8th, Kinetic Racing VSCA GT3 Pro. 9th place, Race for Cat Motorsport. 10th place, RPM Racing. 11th, GSE Racing Merlin. And 12th, North Sim Racing. Sorry, I had a couple of those off by one. The last one was 11th. Y'all can figure out whenever I started that. But first place in the GTM category is going to be the Digital Chicane number 93. Second, Digital Chicane number 80. Third is going to be the Screeching Moose Motorsports number 5. Fourth will be Full Send Racing. Fifth, Vulture Motorsports. Sixth, Real Pixel Motorsport. Seventh is Vulture Motorsports Plus. 8th, Major Garage Fusion GTD. 9th, MSP number 34. 10th, MMT Racing. 11th, Trading Paints Racing Red. 12th, Firestorm Motorsport number 29. 13th is Avanes Racing.
So we are
14th,
still on
Baylor
green
Performance.
flag
15th,
conditions.
Casey
The
Racing.
track
And
continues
16th,
to dry out.
MSP number
12
33.
12 hours of Sebring. Just over 2 hours to go. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV. a hard smack into the wall coming out of corner number 17 there in Sunset Bend, and that almost meant problems there for Souza as he almost went into the wall. 1.7 seconds now behind the World of Sim Racing team, so still trying to see if he can catch him on the backslide. And Austin, I'm telling you right now, we're in the end game here. I am dying to see where this race is going to come out at.
Well, especially with the top three all seemingly starting to come together, right? Ericsson, Martinez, Souza, all within 10 seconds. Oh, my goodness, 10 seconds of each other up at the top of the GTP standings. The other categories are separated out a little bit more, but the GTP, the main race win, it's coming down to the wire, right? We've only got 2 hours remaining. This thing runs green. That's plenty of time for either of those guys in the top three that are not in the lead right now to make up that time. You never know what'll happen on a pit stop sequence or getting through traffic. So if you're in second or third there, Martinez, Souza, never give up hope. You got a really, really good opportunity at this point to catch up to the 19 and do some damage. Looking further on down, though, the GTM, talking about Kaprowski lagging out. Well, they had such a good advantage that they were a lap ahead of everybody. He lagged out, towed, and did a pit stop and came out in front of everybody. So that's how good they were doing. That's impressive as heck. The 93 in the GTM category. What in the world? Where did that speed come from?
And they've still got a lot of that speed too, right? I mean, they are absolutely gunning it right now. Still 29.3 seconds. I'm sure they had a scare when they dropped out initially, but they have got the potential to go to the end of this race. The big concern right now, though, is because they don't have people in the car that can, meet. Right now, I think the big concern that somebody pointed out in our YouTube chat, minimum drive time requirements. If you have racers that need to get those hours in, but they can't because they're going to crash from the session, what do?
Maybe you waive that requirement or make the requirement less harsh if rain comes out.
You're not. No, I don't know. I mean, could this be another one of those exceptional circumstances again? I'm not sure how this would work.
Track just about completely dry. We see the little trails kicking up through certain sections of the racetrack that still have a little bit of moisture on them, but ultimately not really proven to be all that challenging for everybody. Our GTP race leader running the same lap times as they were running in the dry right before the rain. So we're back to a not perfectly dry racetrack, but in terms of grip levels, right around that point. So everybody really pushing just about flat out at this point and really giving it all they can. Everybody, I mean, they probably feel like Superman at this point. They've been just puttering around out there in the wet, on the wet tires. Now they got slicks on, track is dry, flying around like Superman.
John Goodwin, fresh out of the pits in the Torque Freak Racing Porsche 911, is going to make his way back out onto the racetrack with Lyndon Swaby just up the road. The car is going to be trying to catch now 4.2 seconds for the Kinetic Racing crew. So Swaby keeping on with John Goodwin running in sixth for Torque Freak Racing just behind. And there has been a few cars that have slid off, but nothing too serious, right? It's more just been, cars just running super wide out of these corners. But I mean, 2 hours to go. This race, it is very much in crunch time now. If you're going to make a run, it has to be now. And I could not fathom being a driver like Comprager, having a minute lead, only to then lose it all because of a late race caution that annihilates that gap.
That would be super heartbreaking, and we could see it in 3 of the races, right? The LMP2, the GT Pro, the GTM, all 3 of those categories, man. They're the leaders have built themselves a very nice gap. They've raced their way to that position, given themselves a good opportunity. Really looking at Kaprowski in the 93, I mean, they should have been a lap and a half ahead of everybody at this point. If they get screwed over like that, then they would be, I would be so heartbroken for them because they should have everybody lapped. But everybody in those 3 categories, they are all under the impression that if this thing runs green, we're going to win the race, right? The leader in all 3 of these, they will win this race if it runs green and they do not find themselves hidden in a tire barrier, as we see Forbes go off in the GTP, the number 4. Yeah, I mean, as long as the leaders in those 3 and those 3 get it to the finish, I mean, they're going to be plenty fine. Maybe Kaprowski has to push a little bit harder, but the other 2, just back it down. Get this thing to the end of the race. You got 2 hours to just manage that gap and not throw the race and hope a caution doesn't come out.
Taking a look kind of up and down throughout the field. The GTP field, obviously, with 3 cars on the lead lap. The GT Pro field has been very much split apart and has very few cars on the same lap as each other. First and second separated by a minute and a half. And it's Fisher Motorsports 1-2 to boot, right? So for Fisher Motorsports, this is about as good of a day as they could have. I know Benjamin is going to be very, very happy with how this race is going for his team, right? 84 and 44. Both cars in the top 2 and on the lead lap. It does not get any better than that, quite literally.
Yeah, their LMP2 entry had a little bit of a worse go of it, and their GTP entry. Neither of those cars in the top 5, but like you mentioned, in the GT Pro, both of them occupying those top 2 spots. Sol, Metlin, those entire teams, 84-44, both doing fantastic jobs, keeping those things within the white lines, especially during the rain, just keeping those things nice and safe. I think maybe we saw an off from the 44, and I believe he got rear-ended pretty heavy. Yeah, we see that damage on the back end of the 44 by one of the GTPs, but at the end of the day, they're quick, man. They've just got everybody covered in that category. Speaking of got everybody covered, so far, Selena Ward has everybody covered. The 19, Ericsson, has had everybody covered, excuse me. Now they're coming down pit road, though. They're going to be relinquishing that lead. They've held it since their main competitor, I forgot what number it was that was fighting them. Was it the 278 that was fighting them so hard, or?
I believe
it was the 278. Yeah, stop and go. Yeah, but they had multiple issues, and ever since then, Selena Ward's been out in the lead. But now that pit stop, let's put them on the back foot, 20 seconds back from Martinez.
Yeah,
I gotta think that's got to be dry tires.
I would imagine so. I can't imagine a world in which those are wet tires. Joseph Okapian going off the racetrack, and that is for the off of the SS Racing car. Hard to turn 1.
Is that the same car that we thought had the hardware issues earlier?
No, a different one, I believe.
It looks similar. Like, that's such a weird off. It just looks like the car is just veering in a direction, like he's not actually turning it. I don't know. Just been a couple weird ones.
I think that's just overshooting the braking point, right? Assuming that it's going to still be the same speed as when it's a completely dry and fully rubbered track.
Maybe it was. I could see that mistake more in the wet, but now that it's gotten dry, it just seemed a little strange. Maybe he got out into a wet patch and has slick tires on, so maybe it just reacted in that way. Yeah, it's weird because it was opposite the last, or the 2 laps before that, but then the last 3 laps, he's been almost a second quicker than him lap after lap. I mean, what in the world? So, incredible pace from Souza the last couple laps, and Ericsson's been matching him as well, closing in on Martinez. Souza through the slower sections, though, not really anywhere to go, nowhere to make a pass on the 51. Now just settling in about a second behind as we see, it's at the 8:30 off the racetrack. Kunis in the GTP.
Just clipping the grass there on the corner, and that's all that was for that incident. No rain involved, and then Dave Slider pulling. Oh, what in the world?
Okay.
Oh, he's stuck in. Oh no! I think he was stuck in the wet on the right side of the racetrack. It's completely wet there still, and he was on slick tires. He couldn't get out.
There's no way.
No, that's exactly what that was. He had a puddle. It's completely wet. That's where all the water drains
Holy
to.
crap.
And he just, oh my gosh.
I think he was damaged before that because his toe was knocked out. He was turning left and was going straight. So I think you're right.
Potentially
I think he
both.
just had no control. Well, I mean, I think you're right. And like, you know, if he had a steering box that was working, I think he probably should have toughed through it and been fine. But with the toe being knocked out, I think it makes total sense that he could lose it like that. I mean, that would be really easy. You just hit one little, or you hydroplane one little bit and you're around.
That's all it takes, right? That one little bit. But, well, for the most part, we're going to be back in full fine racing action. This battle for the lead still remains as the only fight on the racetrack. It's good that it's for the lead, isn't it? It's always good to get a fight for the lead as a good thing to look forward to on the racetrack when the race is getting a bit down into the duller stages. An hour and 50 minutes remaining. Do you think Souza or Martinez is going to be the ones that win this race, or could we potentially get Ericsson back into the fight and make this a three-way battle?
I think it's going to be the 19. I really do.
I
think.
You think it'll be Ericsson?
I think Martinez and Souza are going to have to pit relatively soon. And I don't know if their pit strategy will be better to where they have one less pit stop than Souza or not. Than Ericsson or not, but I think Ericsson will probably run down that 18-second gap in the next hour and 50 minutes.
Well, the gap is hovering at about a half a second right now. Oh, you know what I just realized? Souza might be saving fuel here. If he can save fuel behind Martinez in the draft, then he can potentially try to stretch this to where he only has to make one more pit stop after the one that's coming up. He's trying to make it on a two-stop from here to the end. Martinez might have to do 3.
Well, and that's the thing, too, because you got to think Ericsson has 2 more for sure. From when he pitted, he's got 2 more pit stops. So if both of these guys have... Well, let's see. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think this out in my brain right now. Ericsson's got to have 2 more. Yeah, Ericsson's got to have 2 more. And Souza and Martinez... I feel like they've got to have 2 more, too. I don't know if the fuel saving even matters at this point. I feel like there's no way that they can stretch this out far enough to only have 1 pit stop. So I think everybody is on the same strategy from here on out. So I want to say we're just heads up. And I still think I'm picking Ericsson. I really do think that Ericsson's going to get up here, or at least that 19 team, the Trading Paints Racing Black. I think they're going to get up here and avenge their Daytona loss.
Right, well, we'll see how... Whoa, here we go! Battle for the lead as Souza tried to open up the door to the inside. Oh, no! The top 2 take each other out! And into the wall goes Souza! Martinez hangs on for the lead! He'll drive away from the wreck as Souza throws it away! And a huge crash in Sunset Bend for the leaders!
Oh, me, oh, my. Well... I said Ericsson was going to catch them, but I didn't think that it was going to be so quick. I mean, goodness gracious. The next corner, going down to the final corner, Souza on the inside. Just contact coming through. They both met in the middle. I felt like Souza had every right to be down there, and I almost feel like Martinez kind of pinched him in the middle on the apex and made a little bit of contact. I feel like that's really where the problem started.
Tried to go for the inside, lunged for it. And backs it hard into the fence. Then on board with Martinez here. See Brayton late to try to get the run, and just that little bit of a hip check, and it was a good save, but man, I thought they were both out of it for a minute.
I did too. Martinez was able to hold on, but I'm still nervous that he might have gotten a little bit of damage and all that. There was a little bit of contact. So I'm a little bit worried about the 51. He lost 5 seconds to Ericsson as well. So Ericsson was able to climb bridge the gap. And I don't know. We're gonna have to pay attention to Martinez and see if that gap closes down. He was actually stretching it over Ericsson the last couple laps. So we need to see, can Ericsson use this as an opportunity to cut into that lead and put Martinez on the alert, or can Martinez kind of get this thing back under control and do what he was doing before that contact?
Oh boy. It wouldn't be a VSCA race without some fireworks at the closing laps for the lead, would it? Every race so far has had it. Oh, and well, that's going to spell an end to the battle for the lead altogether as Ericsson just pounded the wall.
Unbelievable. What in the world is going on? This race has just devolved. I thought we were shaping up for a great three-way fight for the lead.
Why did you
and
say
two of
that?
them just destroyed themselves. They just destroyed themselves. They've ruined it.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, racing action is one that can often go both ways, and it's just a shame that had to go the way that it did. That was just unfortunate. But what are you gonna do? That's racing. It happens.
It's a little heartbreaking tonight.
Yeah, just a bit.
That's tough. I thought the 19 was in the spot to do it, man. I really did. I thought that they were in the place to win this thing, and just all it takes is one mistake. All it takes is one mistake, and you got 12 hours to make one mistake.
You got two more of the GTPs.
And unfortunately,
two more of the GTPs have just spun around. Thomas Sorensen and Thomas Mora, both of the Thomases have just collided down to the hairpin. Whoops.
I mean, he just took the apex as if there wasn't a car on the bottom.
That's a little whoopsie-daisy there. How do you do? And, well, no damage, so they should be able to more or less recover from that just fine, but it's, yeah. An hour and 45 minutes to go. Anthony Drake having a brief off-track excursion, gets himself back out onto the racetrack. We have not talked about the LMP2 field too much today. Thomas Marcelino for Tri-State Racing is down by 5 laps now after, of course, that issue with more drivers that had those problems with the rain not rendering properly and crashing them out of the session. It's a huge shame for Tri-State Racing because they were having the time of their lives. They led much of the first half of this race. So to see them mire 5 laps down and in 6th place is such a massive shame. And right now, nobody's challenging Caprager, who's a lap ahead of everybody else, Rising Panda Racing.
Unfortunately, that's the nature of endurance racing, though. You can be fast all day. You can be as fast as you want to be for the first 6, 8, 10 hours of this thing. But if you're not there for the last hour and a half, hour, 30 minutes, it doesn't matter. Who cares? They're not going to write your name on the trophy. So unfortunately for them, it's just not going to work out leading the first half of the race. But whenever it comes to showtime at the end, it just didn't pan out for him. But I want to point out our race leader did just go off the racetrack a couple moments ago. So he almost had all 3 of the GTP leaders bend themselves within the course of a couple minutes. But luckily he was able to correct course and not completely throw this race into pandemonium.
Well, it only takes one safety car for that to happen. It only takes one.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten one since the first half of the race. Ever since you jumped in the booth, Austin, it's been green flag racing from there to now. So I don't see any reason why they would put why the spinner or whatever algorithms being used would put one out now. I mean, you'd think we'd be long overdue, but we thought that about 2 hours ago.
That's the thing about the algorithms, man. You got no idea. There's infinite possibilities there, so there could be a portion of that algorithm where a caution doesn't come out for 10,000 hours. We could be in the middle of that right now. Hopefully not, but I don't know. I still think we're going to get one. I'm leaning towards we're going to get something that's going to throw this race for a wrench, and I think we're going to get a caution here coming to the end of this thing.
So 1 hour and 42 minutes are left on the clock. So a lot of pit stops left to go. Currently, the closest battle for position on the racetrack, and this would be between any two classes, is no closer than 15 seconds. So everybody very much running in no man's land right now, waiting for the next part of the pit stops, where they get themselves up to some good old racing action. And then we'll have one more pit stop after this current set before we go green flag racing to the end. We'll ride on board with, picking up a driver out of the hat here. Let's go with Dennis Denisio for GSC Racing Esports. And we'll be back in a little while on Green Flag TV. We'll take you for a few laps and let you take in the sights and sounds of Sebring. You see, for the most part, this track has dried out almost entirely. There's still a few little sprays being shot out from the wheel wells here, but overall, this race is pretty much settled into the long haul of how we're going to expect to see this thing finish out. An hour and a half remaining as Dennis Denisio continues to work his way around in the number 3 spot. Still nothing in the way of on-track battles. Mitchell Van Winsum did pick off Neil Forbes for the 8th overall position. This was for the battle for 2nd place, though it looks like that perhaps was just a pass from a car that was already in pit road. Same story for Kunkis trying to get around him as well, as he also passed a stricken car that is currently sitting in pit road at the moment. Jordan Erickson, the Training Paints car, the one that you picked to win, Austin, is in the pits right now and is now down to 6th by 5 laps.
Yeah, that's I would say less than ideal.
you don't
right?
say.
Yeah, I would personally like to not be down 5 laps, 6 laps. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not inside their team's head. I don't know their strategy. I don't know their game. But I'm faithful, and I believe in my team. No, it's just very unfortunate for the 19 group. Just towards the end of this thing too, you know, you run 10.5 hours, and you have some type of incident that takes you out of the thing and puts you behind the wall, and it's heartbreaking to get down to the end of it and think you got a shot, especially after leading so much of it. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. You know, with 4 hours to go, we thought it was going to be the 19 or the, was it the 278? And right now, I don't think it's going to be either of them.
Right.
And it's only been 2.5 hours, and that's racing, man. That's racing. Endurance racing.
Thomas Baker again losing control. Oh, and he's actually taken off one of the LB2s as well. That, oh my word! A few GT cars having to scramble. That is a horrid way to try and rejoin the racetrack as he'll get himself back rolling those. So that was Thomas Baker having that huge scare.
I can't believe nobody hit him.
Oh, I mean, the 30 car almost did.
Well, I mean, well,
sacrifice his own nose to go to the
enough.
wall at the same time, unfortunately.
I just thought one of those other cars that were coming through were going to. I mean, it looked like they were on a collision course. And to each of their credit, they somehow managed to get around the outside of them. But no, that was sketchy. But that's the thing, man. There's just some spots, if you just get stuck in the wrong angle, it's just about impossible for you to get out in a good way. And I think he could have probably done a little bit better than what he did, but he was in a tough spot.
Coming up on in the VSCA Sports Car Championship, the next race will be the Course de Monterey. That'll be a 2-hour and 40-minute sprint race on April 13th. And Austin, I believe you and I should be in action for that one as well. Then, of course, on May 11th, the final spring race will be at COTA for another 2-hour and 40-minute sprint. The next endurance race isn't until June 15th for the 6 hours of the Glen. It's only 2 6-hour races, I believe, and then 1 10-hour race to cap out the season. As David Slider has gone off the track after going a bit wide through Le Mans Curve.
Sign me up for the 6 hours of the Glen.
All right.
I love that racetrack, man. I love it.
It is such a criminally underrated racetrack.
I can't believe that it doesn't get more love. I mean, man, it puts on phenomenal shows for NASCAR. I think it put on good shows for F1 back in the day. I would rather F1 go to Watkins Glen than Miami.
Well, the only reason why they stopped going to the Glen was because of safety concerns. The track couldn't upgrade enough. That was the only reason why they stopped going there. But they held good races with an IndyCar race there, remember, back in the mid-2010s for a few years.
To be fair, I don't think it would be a good F1 track at this point. It's not wide enough. Those cars are so big, man.
Yeah, to be fair.
You wouldn't be able to pass anywhere.
To be fair, very few tracks are nowadays.
You know what I would like to see?
What?
I'd like to see the Cup cars at Monaco. I think the NASCAR cars would put on a great show around Monaco for some reason.
I think you're a sadist. After hearing
So I need iRacing to scan Monaco immediately and put it in the game. next time F1 goes to Monaco, we need a scan.
This is the people that I work with.
South.
These are the people that I work with, folks.
South Talladega.
Whoa! Look out as the Majors Garage Fusion SimSport Ferrari goes way off course. That was at turn 4 or 5. And the Training Paints GTP kind of getting blocked off. Doesn't know where to go. Able to get around them before they get too much in the way of some unnecessary stuff. See, Mr. Stitch from our YouTube chat, I agree with him. You're thinking wrong. You're thinking classic. You need to be thinking Mayhem, Austin, not Monaco, Macau.
I gotta be honest with you, I don't remember what Macau is.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know. I knew I was gonna get that reaction.
I am going to show you a video of a 20-car GT3 pile up there, and I'm pretty.
Never mind. I know exactly what Macau is. That's all.
That's all I had to say.
Yeah. I know exactly what video you're talking about.
Yep.
Don't worry about it.
You see,
I watched it a week ago. I've seen it a million times, but I remember I saw it a week ago.
that's where we need to go to put NASCAR cars on a street circuit. Imagine that tiny little hairpin at the end. Everybody just having to do like 4-point Austin Powers turns as Thomas Martin just having a bit of a lazy off-track excursion. Oh boy.
We need to make the most ridiculous combinations possible and make it happen in the real world. That's all I'm saying. We need to put sprint cars, dirt sprint cars on the Nürburgring.
The Thunder Road Speed Bowl has, I saw a porta potty race there once. Oh, the rain has just picked up again. Hello. The rain has just started at Tower Turn.
It's the tiniest little band out of nowhere.
Yeah. And
the precipitation chance literally says 0 right now.
The raindrops on the screen beg to differ.
I agree with you. I'm not arguing.
It is just like the weather app. It can't be trusted.
I've got to agree with you 100%. I see raindrops falling on my screen, but it is 0%.
But yeah, Thunder Road Speed Bowl. They had a porta potty race, and it was a little intermission race during 2 of their late model shows. What they did was they got one person in a porta potty, right, that was on wheels, and it could be any style, right. They had one person that decked their whole porta potty up in lavish jewelry.
Oh, stop and goes wrecking! Stop and goes wrecking! Holy cow! I'm sorry, but he was sideways, fishtailing back and forth in the grass. I had to scream it out.
Well, he's back on track now, with no problems.
Save.
It was a good save indeed as you ride on board with. Whoa! Oh my!
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't believe it, and then he just kept doing it.
Take a ride on board. He
If
was not making that corner.
If there's one thing that this rain could make really, really tough, this little amount of rain would make really, really tough. It's the grass, and we see it right
Oh
here.
yeah.
Look at the rain coming down. I mean, the grass could be a little wet and affected a little bit earlier. Actually, probably a lot earlier than the road being wet. So I think we saw a little bit of that there for him, but he did a good job hanging on to it.
But yeah, so
278.
So they got these 4 people, right? They had them in porta potties that they decked out. They had put them on wheels, and they didn't have motors. It was a push race. So you have your guys sit in the porta potty, and you had 4 guys see who could push their porta potty fastest with somebody in it from turn 4 to turn 1. It was the most brain-rotting thing I think I've ever seen at a racetrack, and I love it. The winner got a golden porta potty. A golden toilet seat. That's what the prize was. So,
Man, people call the state I live in trashy. And then you're talking about this about Canada. We need to reanalyze Canada, folks. We need to.
Canada?
Wait, what?
Thunder Road Speedway. Is that in Canada?
Oh, I thought you said you had been to this. My apologies.
No.
My apologies. My apologies. I don't know where it's at. I thought you said you had been to it.
No, it's in Vermont.
My fault. Okay. Never mind. Then we need to start analyzing Vermont, folks. We need to get a microscope out and analyze Vermont.
Thomas Martin on a big, whoa, hello sunshine, and good night for the Fisher Motorsports machine as it goes clattering into the K-rails. Take a ride on board with Thomas Martin from Fisher Motorsports. Approaching the high-speed corner, and this is again in a part where it's raining on the track. Underestimate how wet it was.
I gotta say I appreciate him though. It just looks like I think he was taking a detour. I think he was hitting that wall to take a ramp to fly to Vermont because he was taking my advice. He was going to analyze it. So I appreciate him. I appreciate him for that, but unfortunate because it might have ended his race.
The rooster tails behind these cars are starting to increase in size again, and you have to wonder if we're going to be seeing some drivers come back down into pit road for more wet tires before the end of this race, right?
I don't think so. I'm looking at the radar. This band is incredibly skinny.
Is it?
We are.
Well, how dark is
to
the
the middle
color?
of it.
That's the big question.
Nah, it's the same as it was earlier.
That doesn't help.
But
me.
it's well, so you know how. Imagine how long it's been raining so far.
Yeah.
We're halfway through, so it's going to rain that long to the finish. So just imagine how much grip you think they're going to lose until then. They're going to have to hang on at that level of grip.
See, this is why you're the weather person, because you have the radar. I can't see that.
Yeah. I am basically cheating compared to you.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it.
I like it. I'll take it. I'll take any advantage I can get. I think we're now past the 50% point on the weather. But it's still going to hurt. It's going to be tough. These guys are going to struggle. But I don't think it's going to be enough to come in and pit. I mean, if you come in and pit and put on wet tires for rain that's going to last for another 5 minutes, you're going to lose so much time. I don't think there's going to be enough people that are going to wreck under the rain on slicks to offset the time that you're going to lose.
So Nicholas Soul for Fisher Motorsports continues to run in GT Pro up at the head of this field with only 3 cars on the lead lap in both GT Pro and GTM. We're down to 2 cars on the lead lap in GTP and LMP2. So more cars have been slipping off of the leading pack as of late, and another car going wide, and that is Marco Pereira. That goes off the track, and we'll see what happened to him as he just slid off the track. Too wet, and he almost slid into the barriers there as well.
Yeah, you can tell these guys are definitely starting to struggle with the amount of moisture that's on the racetrack, but I'm telling you, it's almost over. They are almost out of this. It's actually not raining in half of the racetrack right now. So it moved away a little bit quicker than I expected. I don't know if the wind speed picked up or if the storm picked up speed or what's going on, but I think this storm's about to be gone. So I think that it's going to be a big no-go on the rain tires, but I could definitely still see some mistakes coming out from a couple guys. We could see some big errors because, I mean, those are pretty decent rooster tails.
There's always the chance for some more chaos. There's always a chance of rain,
especially when I'm here
to bring that thunder. If you're still looking to get some more road course racing even after this long endurance race, well, stick around because on Sunday morning/afternoon, the Classic IndyCar Series will have their season opener for their 10th season of competition. That'll be both on Greenflight TV and on ESTV. That'll be for the Pavement Recycling Systems Classic at the Circuit of the Americas. It is going to be a race to remember. It is the CIS's first time making a start at COTA. And Austin, I have a feeling we're in for a wild ride tomorrow morning. Round will go the Trading Paints racing machine of Julia Cervone And then Chris Yatito having an off just seconds later at another part where it's been picking up in speed and just sliding off piste and gets back on track, no problems. And then one of the GTPs, Francisco Santos Pereira, having another big slide as he goes off wide, and round he goes. That was down at turn 4 and found the tire barriers. And believe it may have lost Austin Edstrom again. So we are still working on the green flag conditions. And by the way, if anybody from our drivers list is watching, if you want to give us a chat, do feel free to hop in. We are more than open in the broadcast booth for some conversation. So if you want to come on over and give us a chat.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you.
Don't be nice. Be nice.
I'll kick you out of here as soon as you get in here. If you come in here, if you're in here.
Be nice.
That made sense.
But yeah, if you do want to come up and give us a bit of a chit chat up here in the broadcast booth, feel free to pop it up. We are very much open for business. Quinn Mitchell at Screech Moose Motorsports is a gap that's been closing a little bit more between the Digital Chicane Shield and the SMM machine, now driven by Sean Hatfield. And now guess what? With the front grille on that Mercedes again.
Yeah, they've had a lot of adversity to overcome tonight, haven't they?
I
remember you telling me about the first half of the race that they had recovered nicely to even be within 7 seconds of the race leader. And then it all completely unraveled. And they had multiple incidents during the rain and just unfortunate circumstances for the 5 just all around. And they've recovered nicely, though. I feel like they should be in a worse position because I remember seeing this thing spun around 3 or 4 times. Instead, they're still on the lead lap, granted at the very, very tail of it, but they're still on the lead lap, looking decent enough. If they can catch that caution, that has to come out, right? I mean, it's got to. It's been so long.
Well, I mean...
the algorithm's got to strike. It's got to hit. And look, the 5's actually coming in, so if it comes out now, he might be screwed. He might be a lap down.
I mean, think of the beer league, though, right? I mean, we heard it before, right? I mean, how you can get caution-free races in there, albeit rare. It does happen. So,
but those are 55-minute races. This has been going on for how long? How long has this green flag
about
stretch been?
5 hours.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking we're gonna get a caution here pretty soon. I know it's not the same algorithm, so obviously the timings could be different, but I think we're gonna get a caution soon. I feel it in my bones, man. I think we're gonna get something to spice this thing up. We're gonna get something to shake up the running order a little bit and maybe cause some challenges for the lead at the end.
Jason Bymey has gone around. This is the Mayor SimSpeed Performance driver. Sorry, Jason Burney. I promise I don't need glasses. Oh, whoa. Holy cow. Way out wide at turn 1. And this has knocked them out of the race. They were forced to tow.
What?
They just went in too hot into turn 1 and couldn't turn.
It feels again like the other. Well, let me look at this.
No, he locked up.
He's
he
not
locked
turning
up.
the wheel. No, look at one more outer view. I want to look at the tires. I need to see if he actually locked up, because that looks so similar to the other guys that ran off the racetrack and that we were talking about being hardware failures. It looked the exact same. I don't see a lockup.
You can see it going straight, though, right? You see, the wheels are still trying to turn, and the wheel was still turning inside the car, but the wheels were not turning. That's just the tires slipping on – that slick tires slipping on a wet track.
I don't know. I'm very confused. It felt like a very similar circumstance, because that just doesn't feel like a mistake he would make going down into turn 1. There's so much runoff room there, so that catches me off guard. I would like to be able to pull them up here and interview them to see if maybe one of them are if one of them are listening, because I'm a little confused with what happened there.
Those GTP cars are deceptively quick. You don't tend to notice how fast they go until you're out of control. As there we see Jared Claude going around. That was the Texas Speed Sim Racing LMP2 spinning out of the pits.
Yeah, and we know that pit road exit is going to be wet. And, well, with him coming out of pit road on slicks, on brand new slicks that are cold, he's just not going to have the grip. And to be fair, that's probably what happened to Bernie. He probably just turned in a little too late and then gotten the wet stuff outside of the dry line. That might have been what happened. And so he just didn't have the grip that he should have because he was outside of the dry line that had formed after that rainstorm. So that I might have answered my own question on that one.
Jan Van Mepellen is into pit road as well, and that will put Benjamin Fisher back into the car for the final stint. So the number 44 machine is going to be looking to get back out onto the racetrack now. They are not, I don't think they're good to go to the end, right? I think Fisher Motorsports still has to make one more stop, yes? I mean, hour 15 left?
I'm in your boat. I think you're right. I'm not 100% confident, but I'm pretty sure that they've got to pit at least one more time. Now he'll only have to do a splash of gas. I imagine he won't take tires, so it won't be a particularly long pit stop. But I do think he has to come down one more time.
Well, Austin, we talked to Matthew Orovech once already tonight, and well, he's standing by ready for round number 2. And I'll pass this one down to you as we'll drive one of the digital chicane drivers back up into the broadcast booth. And Austin, you're standing by with Orovech.
Matthew,
Hello.
y'all are running P2 today so far. It's been a great run for y'all. Well, what do you got to say about y'all's performance so far?
Yeah, it's been a great race for us. I think the rain worked really well for all of us. I just got out of the car after a 4-hour stint. I'm sore. Hoping Quinn Mitchell can bring it home for us for a good finish. Great finish for digital chicane. Hopefully, anything can happen. There's still an hour and 14 minutes to go. Could be another FCY. You never know. The rain looks to be done though, so that's good. But yeah, I think we just got the rain dead on with when we switched to the rain tires and when we swapped back to the dry tires, and we were just able to capitalize on it. Funny enough, each of our cars, the 93 and the 80, both have had disconnects mid-race, but we've just been, on it today, and we've been able to come back.
Yeah, we had talked about the 93s earlier. I imagine y'all might have done or had y'all's before the halfway point, but nonetheless, I remember y'all spinning off a little bit earlier, and I believe having to replace the front end earlier in the race. And was that before the rain? Am I correct on that?
That was, well, it actually happened twice. It happened once before the rain, and it happened once during the rain. I had a little spin and got tagged by somebody else. So, it's just like a 50-second repair, putting a new front end on. Luckily, no suspension damage. But yeah, it was. We've had a few kerfuffles.
Well, still nice compared to, or considering y'all are still on the lead lap. You've had so many adversity to deal with, or so much adversity to deal with. Like you said, having your front end taken off twice, getting disconnected from the race mid-race, and now y'all are situated, at the very end of the lead lap, but still in a situation where if that full course yellow comes out, you could at least be in a position to challenge. What are you looking for in the next hour and 12 minutes, though, out of your driver? What is your team hoping for? Are you looking for that full course yellow, or since you know that it's your teammate in front of you, are you kind of content with this thing just running green and it being a teammate 1-2?
Oh, we're content with the win. Obviously, being in the number 80 car, it still sucks not getting that that potential win, but having Ryan Kaprowski in the car, great group of guys in the number 93 car, we'd be more than happy with a 1-2 victory. So yeah, we're just looking for everybody to keep it clean, hoping for no FCY. I mean, if it still does happen, we have great track position and we've got great pace at night, so just hoping for the best.
Do we still have one more pit stop out of y'all?
Yes.
When do we expect to see you come down pit road?
The GT3 cars go for about an hour, so
Okay.
yeah, it's just a little short. It's going to be everyone in probably around lap probably 320, anywhere from 320 to 325.
So what's kind of your strategy for the end of this? I know there's big gaps all throughout the field, so are you just kind of in race conservation mode and just making sure that you click off the laps to the finish over the course of the next hour and 12 minutes?
Yeah, right now it's just making sure to get through the laps. There's not really much we can do with the strategy right now. It's just drive all out, try to stay on the lead lap of our 93 car, which it looks like they're taking a pit stop right now. So we should be, within
So would they have to
about
come down pit road
30 seconds.
one more time then?
Potentially. I'm not quite sure.
So, oh, wow. So if y'all were a little bit closer, maybe y'all would be in the fight for the
Yeah.
win. I didn't realize that it could have actually been a little bit closer. I didn't know they were on a little bit different pit strategy than y'all.
Yeah, they've
regardless-
been killing it today.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they disconnected a lap ahead of the field and
Yep.
came out
and
still
came back
leading.
still in the lead. Yeah,
That's-
it's insane.
That's impressive. So y'all obviously have two great groups of teams over there with Digital Chicane. I mean, running just absolutely rapid. Obviously have that thing set up perfect. And like you said, playing the rain in a really good way the entire way through. So I don't want to say congratulations yet because the race isn't over, but very impressive what y'all are doing so far.
Yeah, we were so close in Daytona and so close in Long Beach. I think Long Beach we were probably going into the last lap, 8/10, 6/10 down on Screech and Moose. Daytona, within the last hour, we made a move on Screech and Moose, didn't stick, and they just, strung us out by a second or two. But I feel like the balance of performance at this track and also, how we got our cars set up, we've put in a lot of time of preparation. I feel like the cars are a lot more on par with each other. I had like a 10-12 lap race with Philip, and we were back and forth, so it's been great.
Well, Matthew, we appreciate you coming up here and talking to us. First one we've gotten to interview since I think I've been in here. Maybe no, we've had one other interview. So we've had one other guy to come up here and keep us company, but we haven't had too much tonight.
Yeah. Everybody was locked in with the rain. Everyone was super stressed out, trying to keep it as clean as possible. So I can see why you.
I can imagine.
Kind of by yourself.
Think about it.
So
y'all were just barely keeping it on the racetrack. It was a ton of fun to watch from the booth. So thanks for putting on a heck of a show out there on the track.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for being here.
Alrighty, Matthew. Well, we appreciate you coming up here and talking to us, and we'll let you get back to your race team. And good luck to y'all. Maybe we'll get that full course yellow and y'all get up there and challenge them. But if not, still congrats on the good run today.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you very much.
All right, that was Matthew Orvix for the Digital Chicane number 80. Always great talking to a couple different guys on a couple different race teams, getting to get some insight on the race, getting a little bit more knowledge on the fuel situation as well, figuring out exactly how much more time we've got. Kind of upsetting that the 80's not a little bit closer. It would have been awesome if he could have been at least a little bit closer before that pit stop, so we could have had a challenge between the two Digital Chicane cars. But the 93 has just been absolutely rapid all night, as we see a couple Ferraris off in the grass.
And we also saw a Porsche that took a rather vibrant off-track excursion as well. So this is, that. Spinning out a little bit wide, to put it mildly.
Good job keeping it out of the wall,
no
though.
kidding.
Backwards in the grass and keeps it out of the wall. I mean, pretty nice.
Yeah, just
bonus points.
Too aggressive on the brakes. And you're right, did a phenomenal job for Joan Guerrero to keep it out of the wall. That could have been so much worse. And this was the aforementioned dual Ferrari incident that you were talking about. Usually goes off, and right behind, target fixation.
I mean, right in the tire tracks.
The prototype went off too.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I get it though. I've definitely been guilty of what the following Ferrari did there. You get trained on the guy in front of you, and you just trust them a little bit. You're like, yeah, I can. If I just go their speed, they'll keep it on the track. And well, if they go a little bit too fast and you're too trained on their speed, then you're gonna go a little bit too fast. And I think that's what we might have seen
Can I copy
there.
your homework? Sure. Just don't try to make it too obvious.
The exact same, and they're both an F. We'll give it a D. They got back on track without killing the car, so we'll give it a D.
There we go. I think that's it. Yeah, D for dirt. There's dirt on the car now. I like.
There,
yeah,
good
there
point.
we go.
Look at that. Look
See,
at that.
D in rally.
Quick with it.
That's really an A in disguise, because there's supposed to be dirt
What?
on the car in a rally race. See, we got the big brains. We got the big brains coming out here. This is what happens when you commentate a race for 11 hours straight after waking up at 4:30 in the morning.
Just don't ask them to do math.
Oh God, no math at all.
Hey Nolan, how many seconds are left in this race?
How am I supposed to know that? There's over an hour left.
I have no idea either.
You know what?
Just multiply the number of minutes by 60.
I am doing. You know, shut up. I'm gonna do it.
I mean, okay, so look. At 60, listen. At 60 minutes, there's also 60 seconds. So 60 times 60. 6 times 6 is 36. So 60 times 60 is 3,600.
3,940 seconds left exactly now.
Yeah.
Ha!
I was getting there. I was doing the math in my head. I was explaining. I was trying to give you a little lesson.
What
She
lesson?
just wouldn't listen.
What lesson was in there?
How to do math in your head.
That's what a.
Come on, you should have this gift.
Calculator's for.
No. What if you don't have your phone in your pocket? Like we always have 99%.
No.
I mean, we literally always have a calculator on us 99% of the
Mayor
day.
Simsbury performance number 3, taking a drive-through penalty, hitting that 25 incident threshold again, and just taking the one drive-through off and on his way. Loses a few seconds, but other than that, I mean, it's what, 3 laps up to the next car, over a lap back to the one behind. You're not losing much
Where's
time.
my yellow? Where's my yellow flag? Somebody throw it. I want to see this GTM battle, man. I really think the digital chicanes would give each other a good fight.
Well,
but I don't think that we're going to be fortunate enough to see it.
I mean, you could get Screechy Moose Motorsports into the fray as well. Don't forget.
That's true. They're on the lead lap right now.
Sure
they are on the lead lap right now.
They won both of the first 2 races for a reason.
Could you imagine? They just get the late caution out of nowhere that just puts them back on the lead lap, and they come through, drive through all the traffic and get past both the digital chicane teammates to complete the hat trick.
Daytona.
That would
That's
be
how
phenomenal.
they got the lead at Daytona, was by a late race yellow flag like that.
And it could happen at any moment. I might be trying to broadcast jinx it at this point.
Another car has spun out of pit road. It is Ryan Steinhoff again for the MSP number 34.
I was about to say it's wet out there, but
It's
I think it's probably dry by now.
There's still rooster tails being kicked up, see?
Yeah, you're right. That's fair. Maybe.
And remember, it's extra wet right on pit exit because there's not a lot of cars that go ripping around there to dry it up. In fact, if anything, that's where all the water's getting pushed to. It's on the pit exit.
If I was in one of these teams, I would be hammering it into my driver whenever I put him in the car. That hey, there is water. There's puddles on the exit of pit road. We need to crawl through there. We're not seeing that so far, but we're seeing a couple of GTPs making a little bit of contact.
That was an LMP2 that caused Pedro Escobedo to spin around, in fact.
Would you like to talk to the next man up?
We have another one.
Yes.
We will do that after we take a look at Joshua Wolf, also looping it right out of the. Oh, hello.
Yeah, look at the rain. Look at the rain, man. Look at all that
rain. That's the other
rain.
direction, and he went into the tire barriers.
That's what happened with Bernie for sure earlier then too. I mean, just getting out there too wide. There's too much water. You just skate. You got nothing. Getting out of pit road, you've literally got to crawl.
Well, you mentioned us having another driver that is able to give us a chit chat, and I do see who you are referring to. So we will do exactly that. We'll bring up Ryan Kaprowski for a second time, and we'll give a chit chat once again to the digital chicane driver. Ryan, well, welcome back to the booth first off, and well, still going well. 1-2 now overall in the race.
Yeah, appreciate having me back on for a second time in the same day. But yeah, no, right now, currently looking 1-2. We've had quite a bit of ups and downs. I don't know how much of it you all have been covering, because I've been in the car, because we've been having the 2 other drivers I'm driving with have been having simulator crash issues while driving and spectating. So it's been quite the roller coaster ride, and then the 80 has also had a couple other issues, but it is definitely a getting really tense now, getting ready to dip under an hour to go with the top 3 relatively close.
Of course, there is still ever a possibility that a late race caution could upset things. It happened at Daytona. Do you have a contingency plan in play for if you do get that late race FCY?
Oh, I mean, of course. After Daytona, it's like, yeah, we'll never let that happen again. So, yeah, we've got a couple things in the bag.
Overall, if you are able to get a 1-2, where do you think this could solidify you guys in terms of the overall GTM championship?
I mean, honestly, I don't remember what the point standings were overall in the GTM class. But I mean, you know, in terms of like solidifying a spot in the championship, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's late enough in the championship to say that. I mean, this is only the 3rd race in a 10-race calendar. Still got a lot of racing to go, a lot of points on offer. A lot of things could either go right or go wrong. So right now, it's just we're kind of like finding our feet still, I think. But definitely exceeding my expectations, that's for sure.
Well, we will let you guys get back to work. I know it's going to be really busy this last hour to make sure that you're all able to finish off with that Team 1-2. So we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, thanks for having me,
Ryan
guys.
Kaprowski currently spectating for the car that leads the way for the Digital Chicane crew. Austin, we've got literally 1 hour left to go in this race, so let's say we take a rundown throughout the entire duration of this field one final time before we will set ourselves up for the final stint here of the evening. World of Sim Racing Team leads the way so far with Composite Performance in 2nd in GTP. Tropical Racing sits in 3rd with DS Racing Esports Team in 4th. And in fact, they've just found the barriers. Espadina into the wall big time with Mayor Sim Racing Performance in 5th. Trading Paints Racing in 6th. Team Hardcore is in 7th. Brisbane Motorsports currently in the pits in 8th. DS Racing Esports in 9th with Fisher Motorsports in 10th. And then HAC Racing closes out the field, marches the DNF, along with the 50 car of Bravo, Stowe, Shatton. Austin, you've got the LMP2s. But we take a look at what happened to Espadina.
Yep, leading the LMP2 is going to be Rising Panda Racing. Then in 2nd place is FRS Sim Sports with GSC Esports Racing LMP in 3rd. Tri-State Racing 321 and Tri-State Racing 123 round up the top 5 with VRG Sport in 6th. Gowan Racing in 7th. Vice Motorsport in 8th. Texas Speed Sim Racing White in 9th. Fisher Motorsport 14 in 10th. Scours GT in 11th. And Majors Garage Fusion LMP2 in 12th.
Running in GT Pro, it is currently a Fisher Motorsports 1-2 with Nicholas Soul and Benjamin Fisher both leading the way. Only about a lap separating the two of them. It is Zachary Lovelace for Texas Speed Sim Racing behind, and the caution is out! Oh my God! You are kidding me! There it is!
It happened! It's happened!
Texas Speed Sim Racing, World of Sim Racing is in 4th, Kinetic in 5th, Torque Racing is in 6th, Racer Cat is in 7th, DS Racing Esports is in 8th, RPM is 9th, GSC is in 10th, and North Sim Racing rounds out the 11-car GT Pro field.
GTM class is headed by Digital Chicane 93, and Digital Chicane number 80 is in 2nd. Screeching Moose Motorsports is in 3rd with Vulture Motorsports Plus in 4th, Full Send Racing in 5th, Vulture Motorsports in 6th, MMT Racing in 7th, Majors Garage Fusion GTD in 8th, Trading Paints Racing Red in 9th, Real Pixel Motorsport in 10th. The MSP number 34 is in 11th with Firestorm Motorsport number 29 in 12th. Off in the S's Racing is in 13th with Dangler Performance in 14th, KC Racing in 15th, and the MSP number 33 in 16th.
So the safety car is out for the 4th time in this race with less than an hour to go. We're going to once again thank one final time Twinbush USA, bringing all the coverage here tonight for all of your automotive workshop equipment located north of Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit them today or find them online at twinbush.com. Quality that convinces. And you know this race is about to get wild. We'll be restarting, likely with only about a half hour to go. This race has been kicked into overdrive, and it is not over yet. 55 minutes to go. We're under caution. We'll be back in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, even though we go to break when we are under the caution flag, we cannot get away from the drama. Digital Chicane's number 93 entry, once leading the race by over a minute, right when the caution comes out, has a technical failure. The sim crashes. They are forced to tow to the pits. Ethan Swan hops in. They went a lap down. They have gotten the wave around. They are back on the lead lap. But Swan's connection looking less than stable right now, Austin. It is heartbreak right now for the 93 car, who now has a lot of work to do to finish in Team 1-2.
You said they were waved around, but I actually don't think that they have yet. I think that they're still a lap down.
I'm showing them scored as on the lead lap. On SDK, at least.
I'll have to see you go by one more time. I'm going to wait for them to go by the start-finish line, and then I'll get a good read on it here in a second. Okay, I think I'm seeing a lead lap now. I think you might have been right. Okay. But it's still not the situation they deserve to be in. They deserve to be in the lead with a large number of cars in between them and their teammates that were in second place, but instead they've got an even larger number of cars in between them and their teammates, but they're the one having to do the chasing.
Fisher Motorsports has remained secure in their 1-2 as well. The 84 and the 44 have only one Delar P217 between them at the moment. So Soul and Nicholas Soul, I am anticipating is going to have an absolutely fantastic drive to cap out these final laps here in this race. I do not believe the pits have been opened yet. Are you aware?
They're about to be.
They're
right
about
now.
to be. Okay.
This lap, they are open for all cars. Yes.
So that will.
Sorry, for called cars.
So that will take every car down into pit road, and then we will be ready to go back to the end of the race from here. So what, 47 and a half minutes left. So Fisher Motorsports, again, with the 1-2. In LMP2, Rising Panda Racing has been impressive so far today. They may be first place in their class. Perhaps more impressive, they are fourth overall. Right now in front of over half of the GTP field. And in fact, has put laps on most of the GTP field.
That's a hell of a statistic. Could you imagine them putting this thing on the podium? I mean, that's not completely out of the question. We've got two GTP drivers, the 51 and the 15, that are going to be relatively close to each other, that could find each other over the course of the next 45 minutes. They could get racing a little bit too hard, and maybe one of them has a little bit too much damage and loses a couple laps, and Rising Panda Racing would be right there to pick it up. What's more impressive, they're only 5 laps off the pace. I mean, they're relatively close in terms of pace. Only 5 laps behind after the course of 12 hours at Sebring. That's pretty impressive. And we've only had 2 cautions, so it's not like they've had time to break it up. That is a long period of time to only go 5 laps down to the race leader who's in a faster car.
3, technically. We had one right 10 minutes into the race. But there's a bit of an asterisk on that one. They hadn't even caught lap traffic when we came out, so it was more just an extension than it was an actual caution that shook up the running order. Bless you, by the way. I heard the sneeze.
Yeah, I hit the mute button so quick,
it didn't work.
Man.
we still heard it.
Might have missed it. Oh,
well, we didn't hear all of it. You cut off most of it. We heard the start. So, bless you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a little tough. Maybe I need a button closer to my fingers for that. But we're seeing everybody come down pit road. This is going to be the last pit stop of the day.
From here, every single car in this pack should be good to go to the end on fuel. So it's just a full top up, get some fresh tires, and away we go. The question is, slicks or wets? My money's on slicks for the field.
I was supposed to say, what do you mean the question is? There's no rain on the radar.
Before the yellow.
What? Bruh. You'd be 10 seconds off the pace on wets right now.
Don't you bro me? I'm not a tire expert. Oh, and how about that?
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Capping them out of the pits is Nicholas Pedersen trying to get out in front of Nicholas Johnston. Now that is a tactic to get them back an extra lap.
So did they just low fuel that thing? Just get enough
I don't think
fuel
they-
into it and didn't take tires to
Yeah,
put
I don't
themselves
think
back
they
on the
took
lead lap?
tires. They were only in the box for 15
Nice.
seconds.
What a strategy to put themselves back in a position to maybe salvage something out of this.
And look at how many cars now have to get waved around. I mean, there's World of Sim Racing leaving the pits. Now, which class is going to pick up the leaders? It looks like the LMP2 machine of Christian Kempregger may very well be the one to lead us to the green flag here in this one. No, it might. Is it going to be one of the GT cars? It's going to be one of the GTM cars. Quinn Mitchell will lead us to the green.
So we are going to, oh, everybody at pit is going to return to pit lane for sorting.
Yes. So what that
So
means is
we're gonna-
that's
yep.
what that does is, because they have to wave so many people around right now, they just bring the whole leading pack down pit road to get them out of the way, so the lap cars can just go. They can just gun it without having to slow up for traffic. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's
Smart
to speed
call.
up the process.
Smart call.
They implemented that. That was one of the changes they made after
Well-
the Roar at Daytona, which took 40 minutes.
So do they have to wave around everybody in front of Martinez?
No, they are waving around
It's lap
every.
now?
They're waving around every car that is in front of their respective class leaders.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. That's okay. That makes sense. That's
Yeah.
pretty self-explanatory. Yep.
So that's why it's I'm thinking it'll be at least 2 laps, maybe 3 before we go back to green flag racing yet.
And one of those laps is going to have most of the field, or half the field probably, stuck down pit road.
Oh yeah. Well, granted,
We're going to have a 30-minute
well,
shootout to end
once
this
the tail
thing.
of the field catches up, they're allowed to then go and get those laps back again. Like, they're allowed to immediately go and pick up the field. So again, they don't wait around at pit road forever.
Okay.
They just stop for like a few seconds and then
Gotcha.
they go. I do like the
Gotcha,
idea.
gotcha.
Like it's one of the things where it sounds confusing on paper, but you put it into practice and it makes a lot more sense.
I would just be a little concerned about running back up on the pace car that maybe somebody would rear end me under caution. That would be my only
To be fair,
concern.
do you not deal with
I
that
like- I
already?
like it on
when
paper.
you're under caution.
You do, but you got a higher chance whenever people are catching the pace car at a higher rate of speed, and you're all accordioning in on it. So I feel like that just increases the chance of that. But as long as everybody's minding their P's and Q's, we should be all right.
So here comes the entire field. They're going to go to the edge of pit road and stop, where they are now going to wait for the rest of the pack that has to get waved around to filter by. And then they will get these guys back out onto the racetrack as well. Look at the train behind. You really cannot do it justice how many cars are on the racetrack until you line them all up in a single file line. And that's not even all of them. Those are just the cars that aren't being waved around the pace car. Oh,
It's incredible,
it is.
man.
It is incredible. There's the last cars.
And they put on a professional show every single time they come out
What
here,
now,
too.
sorry?
Sorry, I said they put on a professional show every time they come out here with a big car count. It's hard to do, and VSCA
yeah.
pulls it off time in and time out.
Not to mention going up and competing with the official iRacing splits as well on their official time for the same events.
That's very true. It makes it a little bit more difficult, getting a group of people to be committed to it whenever iRacing's holding it at the same time. But a big credit to everybody that comes out here and, competes. I mean, they put on a fantastic show. That Daytona race was just unbelievable. I mean, I go back and watch your video that you posted. That was a highlight show of just the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes had enough highlights for a nice little YouTube clip that lasted a good while, and I've watched that thing back 10 or so times because the racing was just so fantastic and so dramatic coming to the finish of that thing. So these guys know how to put on a show, that's for sure.
Anthony Dring, I think, is being sent to the tail of the field, so that is why he is pulled over for the Vice Motorsports machine and currently stopped on the racetrack. So we continue to march steady on towards the end of this race. 40 minutes on the clock. Current time in sim is looking to be about 10 past 10, so 10:10, and we'll be. I give myself a stroke listening to that back to myself. Help! I can't think.
Nope, you're gonna have to deal with it, buddy.
It'll be
Breathe.
11 p.m. about when this race ends. I promise I'm not stupid.
You are 10 minutes off.
You know what? That's a margin of error I am happy to accept.
I can appreciate it. I mean, you know, you're not far enough off to where it's, you know, a big
Right.
deal.
Yeah,
If you show up late by 10 minutes somewhere, who's really gonna give a big deal? Like, it's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, you might get sent to the office for that one with a little note,
but what if I'm homeschooled?
tardy slip.
Riddle me that one, Batman.
Well, then I gotta ask why your mom's giving you a tardy slip whenever she's the one that's supposed to get you up.
It was me that was supposed to get me up in the morning.
Ooh, she put a lot of responsibility on you whenever you were 12.
It was when it was from grade 5 onward, all the way through high school. That was the best part, getting to sleep in while all of my siblings had to wake up at 7 a.m. to go to school.
I would also wake myself up. I would just get screamed at if I didn't wake
Honestly,
up
fair.
in time. So I feel you. We're walking out the door in 10 minutes.
How did we get to this conversation?
I
Something
don't
about
know.
right. I was having trouble because it's 10 minutes after 10 o'clock in sim. That's where we got this from.
We're interesting.
That's
Say
one
the
way.
least.
That's one word for
Throw it anyway. Yeah.
Now, is it? Are we going?
I think-
Do you know if we're going green this time, or
Go ahead,
are we
sorry.
going for one more lap yet? Because I'm noticing a lot of cars still in front of Mitchell here.
Is the pace car light?
Well,
are the
I
pace
noticed
car
all the
lights
lap
on?
cars
I don't
between
have a good
Quinn
view.
Mitchell and the pace car is my thing.
The pace car lights are on, so I think we're still at one more lap. Oh my goodness! Right behind our overall race leader, GTP leader Alvaro Martinez. We about had the biggest stack up under caution at Sebring. It was
Well,
close.
we have. We're not looking at anything else right now, so let's take a look at this. You said, "Oh my goodness, you are not kidding." Take a little look back.
Thought we were wrecking.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that could have been huge.
That is the exact same incident that happened at Long Beach that caught a driver slapped with a disqualification. Because it did result in a crash because he
I didn't go
piled
back
right
and
into the
see
back
that.
of someone. It was a different car, though, so gotta be careful for that.
We were so close to having the same problem right there, man. That was nervy. We're starting our second wave buys right now, so we still got a little bit of time.
And the 93 car is back into pit road for reasons unknown. Digital Chicane Esports has said taken out in the YouTube chat. For what incident, though, is as of yet a mystery.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Ryan Kaprowski with the Digital Chicane machine is out, down and out. That was driven by Ethan Swan initially.
All right, investigative
Yeah,
journalism
that's what I'm
time.
thinking here. So, well, So this is under the caution flag. I'm looking at it now. Swan blinking, 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 blinking. Still in the car. They're slowing up. No problems. And no issues there. Let me know what you find, Austin.
I'm trying.
Your overall race leader has been waved around the pace car.
That's probably not ideal. They've just waved everybody around the pace car. Holy cow.
So kind of cutting back to it, it sounds like it was actually during that stack up that we just saw approaching the hairpin.
No, it was a different stack up. This was at the beginning of the caution, I believe. This is before pit stop, or before they came and stopped them. It's his lap 306.
So the 306 were guaranteed on that one, right?
Yes, his lap 306 in the first sector under the bridge.
Oh, well,
it was in the same
place
as that stack up. Holy cow, man.
So, right. So we're going to, pick this up because this is we already saw this section. So we're going to just speed this up a little bit. So this is looking forward into the hairpin here. So we're talking the turn 6 hairpin, I'm assuming, yes? Or turn 7?
Yes.
Right, so we're slowing up. Pacing line's entering that hairpin. There's always a big stack. If you see everyone checking up big time there. Look at it from... Try to look at it from above. Oh, man! That was one of the GTPs that got into him.
Oh.
Man.
It was the DS Racing number 88.
Bad to worse to worst for Digital Chicane as their woes continue.
Yeah, no kidding. The 88 GTP was running 7th overall, 5th in class, and they completely destroyed their front end under caution. And have not, well, they're back out on the racetrack now. They've gotten it repaired, but they've lost multiple laps and lost 4 positions overall, 2 in class, so they've dropped back to P7.
And, well, if that wasn't going to be a race ender, at least with the initial for the Digital Chicane machine, well, it certainly is now. They are now 3 laps down from their class leader. Game over for the 93. They will not be getting a Team 1-2 tonight.
What is that bad luck?
Okay.
That's unreal. I mean, I've never seen it compound so hard. They didn't deserve that. I mean, to get lagged out after they were a lap ahead, and then lag out again, and then get punted under caution. What? I mean, what did somebody in that team do?
Somebody broke some glass. Somebody
really
smashed
make
a
somebody
mirror.
mad. Yeah, like somebody has ruined that team's luck. I mean, they have slaughtered like 11 black cats. I don't know what is going on.
Think of any superstition, and they will have broken it in some way, apparently.
Should have said 13 black cats. I mean, like, what in the world?
Well, as anticipated, we will not be getting racing until we have less than a half hour to go. What do you think, Austin? Odds on to win our racing action here tonight in our classes.
Let me go back and see how far back Composite is from Martinez real quick.
6/10.
Oh, never mind. They're nose to tail. They're literally nose to tail. I'm going to say Johnston, LMP2, Campringer, GTM.
Mitchell's got the clean air, so I think Mitchell easily takes this. I don't know how
Hatfield's
far
right
back
on him.
Hatfield
He's
is,
right
but
on the back
Mitchell
bumper.
at the front of the field. But man, then a couple of these are going to be.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like,
tight.
Digital
What in the
Chicane
world?
had like a minute gap that's been obliterated because of this safety car, which is in this lap.
They could go for 3 in a row. Excuse me. The 5 Screeching Moose could go for 3 in a row here. They've been given a great opportunity. I'm going to pick them, honestly, for GTM and GT Pro, probably Mayor.
I think that's fair. The 84 car has been very reliable so far tonight, so we could expect big things to see them up into the booth. I support your choices to win this race. I don't see anybody else really taking the LMP2 win. I think I do believe Camprega has effectively was already got 15 seconds just between himself and Kyle Hurt. Sorry, 25 seconds to himself in the second place runner, and then it's a whole lap to third. So I don't think anybody's catching Rising Panda Racing for the LMP2 win. It's all down to everything else.
Yeah, as long as Camperger doesn't really throw this thing, he should be okay.
I had to say it.
I really want to pay. Yeah. I mean, fair. Good point. Really want to pay attention to that GTP battle because they're mired in traffic. I think it'll be interesting to see that they're nose to tail, and they have to get through. I mean, to be fair, I say mired in traffic. They're 5th and 6th, so they don't have to get through too many cars. But I feel like off of the restart, who can get through this pack as soon as possible and get that clean air? Very, very important. Is it going to be World of Sim Racing, or is it going to be Composite in the 15? We're going to have to wait and find out. And then also at the same time, you got to pay attention to that GTM battle at the front of the field. That'll be happening between Mitchell and Hatfield in the 80 and the 5.
Well, the iRacing safety car is on the Ullman Straight. 27.5 minutes will be remaining when we enter that final corner. We are ready to set ourselves up for the final sprint to the end of what has been an absolutely wild race from the Sebring International Raceway. The pace car's off. Quinn Mitchell leads us to the green. And a big jump from behind. That's going to have to be reviewed. Look at how much they're fanning out. Some folks did not get going as we launch big time into turn 1. Digital Chicane already slipping back. There's the battle for the lead. World of Sim Racing trying to see if they can fend off Composite. But here comes Composite looking to battle back.
Composite able to take the race lead away. The 51 looked like they had it locked up before the caution, but the caution has thrown everything for a whirl in the GTP and the GTAM class. We've got Johnston up in the front in the 15. We haven't talked about him in hours, and now they're leading the race with 30 minutes to go.
26.5 minutes on the clock, and Nicholas Johnston is up to the point. This caution was an absolute godsend for them, and they're now going to be able to try to blitz away from the rest of the pack behind. The GTM lead is also still tight, remember, 0.6 of a second between these two. Aiden Campbell and Travis Linscomb Hatfield have had a problem coming down to the hairpin.
Gonna get a look on the replay to see exactly what happened coming down to turn number 7. Oh man, just really deep by the 621. Absolutely punting the GTM 67 Kinetic Racing out of the way. I mean, that was a little naughty.
And looking like may have collected the Fisher Motorsports LMP2 as well in the process. Meanwhile, Neil Middleton is off. And that includes Zachary Lovelace as well in this incident, potentially. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. Puts the 6 into the grass, and the Torque Freak racing car spins it around. Oh, nowhere to go, and the BMW locks it down.
Great job from the Beamer to not absolutely destroy him, because that was so erratic and unpredictable. He did a great job not just absolutely clattering into the door. I mean, that could have been massive there coming out of the exit of that corner, but luckily he was able to get on the brakes, slow that thing down. Not absolutely destroy him, but it probably should have happened. Looking at the GTM battle, Mitchell able to hold on, doing better than Martinez was able to do on the restart. Hold on to the race lead in the GTM. Hatfield just a little ways behind, a couple faster cars coming through, throwing some wrenches into this fight. Hatfield just trying not to let it damage him too much. Trying not to let him bother him through the apex of these corners into his braking zones. Just trying not to let it worry him too much. Let him go on the straightaways. Hasn't hurt him too much yet, but it hasn't helped him either.
The battle for the GTM lead will remain tight, but not as tight as this battle back here is with Shreyas Venkatarajan trying to make a run to get away from Max Bijan at the moment for MMTQ Racing. Vulture Motorsports trying to pull away. Half a second separates the battle for sixth in your GTM field. The 016 to the 161 trying to jam on the brakes to fight their way through the hairpin, but right now Vulture has been more than secure up the road, and then as well as that, got a little bit of a battle here. Well, I say that Nicholas Peterson just got around the LMP2 class leader, so not so much of a battle. And same story, just a bit behind. A lot of battles with inter-classes, not so much within the same class, unless it's a GTM.
Yeah, just the GTM race lead, and we're waiting on the GT Pro or the GTP race lead. Maybe Martinez can get up there and challenge Johnston. He was up there ahead of him before the caution, so perhaps Martinez could put a fight on the 15, but other than that, it's looking pretty cut and dry. Maybe GT Pro also, got to point out, Fisher only 2.5 seconds back off of Mayer. Perhaps that 44 could get up there and give his teammate in the 84 a challenge, but other than that, I'm hard-pressed to find any super compelling fights like you've highlighted this sixth place for the GTM, but other than a couple maybes and the definite of the GTM fight for the lead, it's a little hard-pressed to find anything throughout the field.
Well, good thing that we've still got a lot of these absolutely brilliant battles that are still raging on around the racetrack as this fight for sixth remains within half a second of each other, with Vulture Motorsports and MMTQ Racing trying to close up. And MMTQ's got that top end charge of the Ferrari coming down the pit straight into turn one. The 016 still hanging on. But for how long? Going defensive now. And will MMTQ look for the inside? They will not. They'll remain tucked in line just for now.
Yeah, not able to make a move, just staying line astern. You can still see a little bit of water coming up. Don't know if that's really affecting any of these guys at this point. It's not. I don't really see it on too many apexes. I don't think, or too heavy in the braking zones. You see a little bit on the inside there, a little puddle. But I don't think that that's really affecting too many guys at this point. I think most of the racetrack is dry. You're probably at 98% grip levels or so. I mean, it's got to be relatively up there. Maybe pit exit could be a little difficult, but I don't think we'll be seeing people using that the rest of the night. Mostly dry. Again, you see a couple rooster tails out of that last corner, but it's a relatively easy corner, not a heavy braking zone, not a tough apex to make. But around here, nice and clean, nice and dry. Don't see any issues throughout the racetrack. Maybe a little bit down to that braking zone, but it's not enough to cause any errors, any issues. Nobody even looks really that squirrely. Everybody keeping it nice and clean.
And don't forget, well, we have to keep in mind as well, this battle for the overall race lead between Composite Performance and World of Sim Racing Team, it hasn't gone away, right? Only a second between them. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of a 12-hour race. So this is very much a battle that could pick up before too long. How about another fight developing in GT Pro? Torque Freak Racing and Kinetic Racing starting to close in just a little bit more, with Neil Middleton losing ground to Aiden Campbell.
Yeah, falling off the back bumper just a little bit, getting into 17. Coming around the long 180-degree corner, waiting to get on the gas and then slamming it down. Trying to get all the speed you can down the front straightaway. We were pointing out the battle for the GTP race lead. Gotta point out also Sorensen in the 278, the stop and go racing entry. Could they maybe bridge that gap? Could they cut it down if they get into clean air? I know they've got a couple more cars that they've got to get past before that they can really run down the 51 and the 15. But if they can get past a couple of these LMP2s and really just set sail in clean air, could they maybe have enough time if these race leaders get to racing each other to potentially get themselves into a chance to battle for that race lead? They might be just a little bit outside of that number range right now. 7 seconds might be just a little bit too far back, but you never know if the 15 and 51 get to fight.
In theory, yes, they could. In practice and practicality, I think not. I think that he would need for one of them to wreck themselves in order to be able to reel them back in. Otherwise, 7 seconds may be a bit too much for him to reel in, considering how rapid those two Cadillacs have been all night long. Remember how long it took earlier on? Like, a Cadillac led this race for the first 4 hours before Porsche was able to make the move for the lead.
Well, Cadillac got 2 of them leading the way at the end. Porsche trying to make a comeback, but you know, we're kind of highlighting the battle, or that 3rd place in GTP. He has caught up 0.6 of a second over the course of the last lap, just of us talking about it. So if he can continue that pace, he's looking to be in a good spot to do it. It's going to be really, really, really tough to manage that and keep that going. It's really just about whether Composite Performance can get through lap traffic well themselves, or whether they get held up. And as I'm looking at them right now, they get held up a little bit coming onto the back straightaway. So it could work out well for Sorensen. Well, as soon as I say that, he's losing time. I don't quite know what happened, but he's lost about 2-3 seconds. He might have had a little bit of damage.
I believe he just went off the racetrack for the briefest of moments.
Well, that's going to kill it. Yeah, he got a little too wide, got where there was still water, and that thing did not turn.
No, it did not. So the battle for the race lead has started to run down a bit more, and they're catching up to the Real Pixel Motorsports Lamborghini, and Martinez left with nowhere to go and had to jam the brakes. Johnston hangs on for the race lead still for Composite Performance, with Martinez out in front. And then we're still tracking this battle for 5th in GT Pro as well, which is not too far away from your GTP leaders either.
Yeah, Torque Freak holding on in that 5th place position. Middleton doing a good job, just trying to hold on from Campbell. Switching back to the battle for the overall lead. Johnston holding on still, doing a really good job for Composite Performance, getting this race lead on that late race restart. Doing a good job, just making it hard to pass, not really giving Martinez an opportunity to make up too much ground. He's just managing that gap, not making any big errors. Totally not trying to announcer's jinx him, I promise. But switching back to that battle for 5th, all kinds of pressure. Middleton is just hanging on, coming down to the last couple corners here, to the last sector of the racetrack, over towards the back straightaway. Campbell is all over the back bumper. Freaked me out a little bit there. I didn't know quite what was going on, but Torque Freak able to hold on down the back straightaway, but Campbell's going to get a good draft all the way down into the final corner.
Campbell getting that good draft all the way down the road, and here comes the battle for the lead, slicing their way through, and looking like they're going to go side by side. That's going to break up the fight, as 2nd place kind of caught in the middle, doesn't know where to go, connecting to the inside, Torque Freak around the outside. Martinez puts them 3 wide while it's a drag race down the pit straight to turn 1. And Aiden Campbell hanging this one the long way around, and he picks off Neil Middleton for 5th.
Oh, if you're Alvaro Martinez, you are so frustrated, because a battle for 5th place in the GT Pro class that is 2 laps off the race lead in that category just held you up by 2 seconds. And now he's bridged it back down a half a second after that, because I believe Johnston made a mistake into turn 1. But that's huge. If Johnston makes that same mistake into turn 1 while Martinez is on his back bumper, then he gets the position. But instead, he was 2 seconds back, and he just gained 6-7 of a second over the course of the next couple corners. Instead, it actually wasn't too big of a mistake. He actually got slowed up by a lap car himself. So a little bit of back and forth in the lap traffic with the race leaders. That could only get tougher. And I was talking about Sorensen being 7 seconds back and it raised it up to 10 because of his issues. Well, he's cut it back down to 7.5 because of all the issues that the leaders have had in lap traffic. So this race still has a long way to go. Anybody in the top 3 could be in this thing.
It's a frustrating notion to think about, right? But I mean, hey, that's multi-class racing. That is literally, by and large, how multi-class racing is. You have to deal with the ebb and the flow. You have to deal with the traffic, because just as much as you want to fight for your spot, they want to fight for their spots as well. They don't have to necessarily make way for you if they're in an active battle for position, especially one that's already side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. You have no right over anybody else, but still, you feel relatively entitled. You know, you're fighting for a race lead, whether it's the overall lead or just a class lead. You feel kind of entitled to be able to race it out in certain scenarios. In that one, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was a relatively normal move. There was a big enough gap in between the two GTB cars. It's just an unfortunate situation. But if I was behind the seat of the race car and I got in that situation, I would be very, very upset.
Timo van Gemmert has taken a tow back to pit road after going off course. And this is, whoa! Holy cow, that was out of pit road and slamming into the tire barriers out of turn 1. And that car will retire to the pits.
Yeah, it ends up being massive going into the outside wall out of turn 1. Like you mentioned, having to take the tow ends up being a race killer here with only 13 minutes left. Gonna knock him out of getting any meaningful points or position out of this one. The tow might be relatively short, but he's got a little bit of a damage repair to do as well. Johnston still holding on, though. He stretched that gap back out a little bit over Martinez. Stretching it about 0.4 of a second over what it was just a few corners ago coming to the line.
You see the field fanning out behind, and Thomas Sorensen is way in the back here, still trying to close up. I mean, still, what, 10 seconds back? I mean, he closed up initially, but every lap that passes by, it's more and more time he has to make up per lap. And yeah, exactly. I don't think he's getting it done. Oh, hey, well, he's not going to get it done doing that.
No, that's not a help. That does not help whatsoever. But he's trying, man. He's doing everything he can, but he's got a lot of traffic in front of him, and the leaders don't. I don't see a lot of traffic in front of the leaders right now. So I think this is going to be an uphill battle for him. His only hope is really if the leaders get together or start racing each other really, really hard. But that's got to happen relatively soon. But Martinez has caught back up to our race leader of Johnston. He's caught up about a second over the course of the last lap.
He's caught up to him quite steadily, so again, could we be seeing Alvaro Martinez making a run and Nicholas Johnston for the race lead? He's tried to get up there. He's trying to get up there again. He knows he doesn't have a lot of time. He has to make this happen now. And is it just me, or is there a fog that's starting to descend over the racetrack?
Oh no!
Don't make me
check the weather. I don't see anything on the radar.
It does look a little bit. It looks a little bit more
There's
hazy.
nothing there.
Out. That just might be the nighttime hours starting to settle. Maybe it might be the humidity. You know, the humidity was looking really, really hot earlier today, and oh yeah, the humidity's at 97%. That'll do it.
I don't know if you got me seeing things or what, but I could have swore I just saw a couple raindrops.
You are seeing things. I didn't see any raindrops. And a change of position for the GTM class lead as Quinn Mitchell went off course in the digital chicane car, and that has caused him to lose out the race lead to Sean Hatfield from Screech Moose Motorsports. Just lost the back end, slid off the track, and there goes Hatfield right through, uncontested.
And he had a pretty comfortable lead. He had stretched it out a good ways over Hatfield, but he just gave it all away in one mistake. And now Hatfield's built out that gap to over a second. Mitchell's got a lot of work to do over the course of the last 10 minutes to right the wrong.
Again, just when you think we've had all the action we can put into one race, you can tell my voice is gone, right? I mean, just when you think we're done for the evening, nope, we find one more thing to squeeze into this absolute crazy race.
I just need a pop-up thunderstorm right over the racetrack right now.
Yeah, that'd be about on brand at this point, wouldn't it?
Let's go into full chaos. Let's end it. No, I'm loving this though. Martinez still hunting down Johnston. Not really able to make any inroads after about the 0.7 of a second mark. He gets to about here and either yo-yos out to about a second and comes back, or hovers around the 0.7 of a second mark for a handful of laps. So or a handful of corners. I'm a little nervy on it. I don't know if he's got quite the pace to make a move on Johnston, but he's close enough to where if Johnston makes a mistake, he'll be close enough to make the move and take the lead to capitalize.
When they come around the corner, look at how like more hazy the headlights are at a distance. You see how like that little bit of extra haze around them? That's all the fog that these lights are cutting through right now.
Yeah.
It is insane to me how much Iverson has been able to do with this weather system to incorporate every factor into
It's
racing.
awesome, man.
The only thing that they're really missing is snow. Oh,
Soon.
no.
I'm sure we'll hear. I'm sure we'll get an update on that pretty soon. That we're gonna get some snowmobile racing, like
Oh,
we've been
yeah.
watching on Flow TV.
There's a race tonight actually. We should
No.
No, you've had enough racing after this.
My bed is calling my name.
Mine's not. It is only 7 p.m. I can't go to bed yet.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gotta find something to do, so that's what I'll be doing for my after this race. But
See, that's
Ooh.
understandable. You know, being over there on the West Coast.
Perhaps giving a little bit of an off, but nothing too major. Battles on for the lead again. Here we go. Mitchell was caught Hatfield, and the fight's on for the GTM lead. They're almost going to bang doors. And trying to lunge it in around the long way of the hairpin. Oh, and around goes Sean Hatfield. Dumps it into the infield. Was there contact?
I don't think there was on the apex. I think that he just lost it on his own on the inside, getting pinched down there. Gonna get a look coming under the bridge. On board with Hatfield on the inside, going down into turn number 7.
Oh, there was.
Gets outbraked into the corner, lets off the
There's
brake.
a
Yeah, there
pinch
was a little bit of
there,
contact.
for sure. Well, that could cost Hatfield a win. I wonder how they're going to view that incident there. So we get one more look at this one at speed. I mean, Hatfield was up.
That's a
I
tough
hate to
one to
say it.
judge.
Hatfield was more than on the inside. He was up on the curb. He was entitled to that line, and he was all the way up onto the curb. Out there was nowhere else
Yeah,
he could go.
I have to agree with you. I don't know. That's a tough one, man. That's so close. That's bang bang. That's as tight as it gets. It's not like anything egregious happened. I don't think anything was intentional. Just hard racing, but you know, in this form of racing, you do have penalties. You get protested. You get a penalty called on you, and I mean, I get it. But it's also part of racing. But it's tough. Oh, the leader's overshot. He's overshot the corner, getting around the lap car. Let's let the 51
Martinez off the
to go
track.
through. He's off the grass trying to get around the lap car.
That was the Firestorm
Who is that?
Motorsport driver, and I think that's just a whole bunch of miscommunication that we just saw there that nearly came to blows. Take a look again from above. Actually, you know what? Even better. Let's go on board with Alvaro Martinez and his view throughout all of this.
He said, "Thank you very much. Yes, please outbreak that corner by."
And
10
I
feet."
think Firestorm didn't expect him
what
to
in
try
the
to
world?
pass him on the right there, because notice how as soon as he saw he was there, he did cut back to the
Yeah.
left. So yeah,
I
just-
agree with you. I agree with you. And I don't think
Yeah,
that he did anything
yeah.
to cause Johnston a wreck. I think Johnston got around him in a strange way and just put himself off for the braking zone. And it's unfortunate for Johnston. He's got a lot of work to do now. Almost 3 seconds back. Him and Martinez were even before he went off the racetrack. Now he's got some dirt on his tires. It's gonna be tough for Johnston to recover from this and mount any type of a challenge on Martinez unless Martinez gets caught up really bad in lap traffic.
Martinez, Kemprager, Mitchell, and Meyer, no drivers within a second of their second place runner right now. So for the most part, for all of your classes, it looks like it is going to be pretty status quo as far as the racing is looking set to end, with no drivers having anything particularly spectacular to note as of right now. Martinez currently working his way up through Tower Turn. He's got 5 minutes to go. Lap times he is averaging about a minute 46. I'm thinking we have 3 laps to go at the line.
I agree with you. I had to do quick math in my head.
I was wondering what you were doing.
I think you got to be right. I think you got to be right. Oh, got a replay on deck.
Marco Pereira, wide.
Wide in the last corner. Yep, too wide. We've seen it multiple times tonight. Ooh, seen it multiple times tonight, getting too wide in the last corner, and the back end will just step around on you because at some point through the middle of the corner, you got to turn that wheel a little bit more than you want to, and all of a sudden that back end
there was water on the outside
no
of the track. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
did he really?
Check back again. He went out when there was still water on the track. I mean,
that's
all
not
the water
surprising
gets
either.
pushed out. We're going to slow it down here. See, look, it's dry, 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 dry. Rooster tail right there. That's water that he's running into right there.
And you got to see, he's
yeah.
way out of the racetrack. He's way out of the groove anyway, right? You can see it from entry. So not surprising whatsoever. There's going to be water out there with everybody running in the main area of the racetrack, right? There's a dry line even at this point. I know it's been a while since the rain came, but there's still water out there on the racetrack. We've seen rooster tails in certain areas. And obviously the last corner seems to have the maybe the most amount of water built up on the racetrack, except for maybe
I think
pit
exit would be the only one that's got more, but it's part of the things that IRC said they were going to do, right? I mean, the water will drain depending on how much you drive over it. Nobody drives to the exit of the racetrack, so it would not surprise if, the water that we saw him run over, if that was even still there, quite possibly hours after the race had reached its checkered flag, until it gets evaporated. Look at the fog.
Man, it's so well done.
Look at how thick the fog's descended over this racetrack. I mean, you can barely even see the cars without the headlights.
Well, I can't believe it's so dark.
Well,
that's
the
tight
fog
over there with DeBoer kind of squeezing on the inside. I just can't believe I've just never seen it so dark before.
Fog,
it's crazy. Man, it's just so crazy. I've been watching the race leader carve through lap traffic, just trying to manage his gap, and it is just fascinating to watch. Alvaro Martinez just doing a great job so far.
2 laps to go. Yeah, 2 laps to go as well for Alvaro
home.
Martinez, and he has been looking strong for a good chunk of this race. The World of Sim Racing team has had a little bit of a tumultuous start to the season. Remember, they had not an ideal way to kick things off at Daytona. They didn't have the best of runs at Long Beach. They are down. They entered this race down in 11th place, over 200, almost 300 points out from the championship. This win would bring them right back into the fight.
Oh yeah, only 3 races into the year, putting yourself on the top step of the podium. Whenever a lot of the heavy hitters are having a couple problems tonight, I gotta say, can put you in a really good situation to at least put yourself in a shot to where you've got a fighting shot going forward. And hey, if you can win a race in the first 3 races, you can win a race over the course of the rest of the year. So they've proven themselves here tonight. If they can bring this thing home over the course of the next couple laps, they're going to put themselves in a place where they can fight for the championship coming down to the wire at the end of the season.
Carefully dipped into the water there on the outside of the racetrack as he was trying to lap the Audi there. Anthony Dring has had a problem. This is again in the final corner, Sunset Bend. 2 wide, same situation. Hit the water,
wide,
pushed him wide, and slammed into the barrier on a hard lick.
Yeah, if I was on the World of Sim Racing team, I would be in Alvaro Martinez's ear and saying, I am going to need you to run the last corner as narrow as you possibly can, please, for the rest of the race. And that's going to be 1 more lap as he takes the white flag.
Final lap will officially begin. And we get set to close out the 12 hours of Sebring. Boy, this has been a long and a hard-fought race, but I think a really deserving winner is being prepared to be crowned.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that they stayed composed at the end of this thing, even after they lost the lead on the restart, right before that caution, they did a great job being able to keep their car clean. Maybe not the fastest on the night, right? We saw a couple that were maybe a little bit quicker up towards the front of the field, but they all, just in a war of attrition, took themselves out.
Alvaro Martinez and the rest of the 51 squad, the World of Sim Racing team, have got this thing running right the entire night, even through the rain, kept it on the racetrack, and are going to find themselves in victory lane.
Through Collier Curve and up towards Cunningham as well. The gap is still coming down for the GTP lead. It is under a second. Nicholas Johnson is behind. There's a bit of GT and LMP2 traffic in front of Martinez. It's a fight that's not yet over, and Johnson is really pushing hard now, down to under half a second, and he's caught by LMP2 traffic. We may have spoken too soon here. 3.5 tenths closing down the backstretch. If Johnson's making the move, it's coming to the Sunset Bend. You know that for a fact. Lunging towards the final corner. Does Johnson have what it takes to put the composite performance machine into victory lane? Oh, he sends it in! Trying to get to the back bumper, the 51. He gave him a nudge. It's not enough. And Martinez will snag the win in the 12 hours of Sebring.
It wasn't nearly as comfortable as I thought it was going to be. The lap traffic gave him all types of fits on the last lap, but Alvaro Martinez was able to hold him off to the last corner.
Meanwhile, Quinn Mitchell for Digital Chicane picks up the race win for GTM. Fisher Motorsports will take the victory and a 1-2 finish at GT Pro, courtesy of Manuel Meyer and Benjamin Fisher, who will line it up in formation coming out of turn number 1. And that just leaves a very lonely Chris Kemprager, who will come around to be the driver that will come home to finish in the race lead, winning LMP2 on the evening. Let's take a look.
Man, they got my heart racing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry. They got my heart rate racing at the end there. I didn't expect the challenge for the race lead to come
Take
down
a
to
look
the wire
back
like that.
on what Johnson saw. He went for the Hail Mary into the final corner. Boy, he tried. Oh, right there. He got a little unsettled, just track tight, and it was over. If he could commit just a little bit more, maybe. But we'll never know.
He gave it everything he had. That was the only shot that he had getting into the final corner. And it's unfortunate that he didn't get alongside of him, but going into it, 3 tenths back into the final corner, almost getting alongside. He did it clean, or he did it the clean way too. Can't fault him for that. So credit to him for running a clean race and bringing it home in second, almost putting that thing on the top step of the podium. But bigger congratulations to Alvaro Martinez.
Whew.
For bringing it home for the World of Sim Racing team here.
Well, with all
at
that said
Sebring.
and done, we are about ready to take a rundown of what your final results looked like here at the end of the night. So, taking the race win in GTP, it was World of Sim Racing team with composite performance in a solid second place. Stop and Go Racing finishes to find the car in the lead lap for Stop and Go in third, with Mayor Simpson Performance in fourth. Trading Paints Racing was fifth. DS Racing Esports team in sixth and seventh. Team Hardcore was eighth. Grizzly Motorsports ninth. Fisher Motorsports in 10th. HAC Racing and Bravo Snow Shatton both marked as DNFs on the afternoon.
In the LMP2 class, Rising Panda Racing brings home the checkered flag with FRS Sim Sports in second and GSE Racing Esports rounding out the podium. Tri-State Racing is going to come home fourth with VRG Sport in fifth. Tri-State Racing's number 123 is going to come home in sixth with Go-In Racing in seventh. Texas Speed Sim in eighth. Fisher Motorsport ninth. Vice Motorsport rounds out the top 10. Scours S's Racing finishes in the 11th place position with Majors Garage Fusion Sim Sport.
Moving on to the GT Pro category here in this one, as we will keep things moving on into what was a very wild race tonight. Well, maybe? Question mark. We may have just, in fact, lost our. We may have just lost our results page. Who knows? Hopefully, we can get that back. Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll try. Does not look like we'll be able to get it back, but I can tell you right now, it was Fisher Motorsports for a 1-2 finish. Texas Speed Sim Racing was in third with World of Sim Racing team in fourth. Kinetic Racing for fifth with Torque Freak Racing in sixth. Race for Cat Motorsports seventh. GS Racing Esports team in 8th, and it was RPM Racing in 9th, GS Racing Esports in 10th. The North Sim Racing rounded out the 11-car grid. And Austin, do you have the GTM field with you there? Perfect. Take it away.
I do. Winning the GTM class is going to be the Digital Chicane number 80. Second place is going to be Screeching Moose Motorsports. Finally, their streak is broken. They won the first 2 races of the year. End up following it up with a second place finish, though. Still going to be leading the points. Finishing in third, going to be Digital Chicane number 93 after the most unfortunate set of circumstances I've ever seen on iRacing. Fourth place is going to be Full Send Racing. Fifth is going to be Vulture Motorsport Plus. Sixth is Vulture Motorsports. Seventh is going to be Majors Garage Fusion GTD. 8th, Trading Paints Racing Red. 9th, Firestorm Motorsport number 29. And 10th is going to be the Real Pixel Motorsport team, the 312. 11th place is going to be the MSP number 34. 12th, Off in the S's Racing. 13th, MMT Racing. 14th, Dangler Performance. 15th, KC Racing. And rounding out the 16-car GTM field is going to be the MSP number 33.
It was a very wild race then to close out racing action here tonight, as we will try to get ourselves with a bit of a chit-chat here with some of the drivers here at the end of the night. And we'll look to take things up first and foremost with, well, we don't quite have your race winner yet, so we will bring up Christian we'll bring up Christian Kemprager, the driver that comes home to take off the race win overall for LMP2. And Christian, it ended up being a pretty quiet race for you at the end, but a firm race win nonetheless. Kind of walk us through it for Tri-State's big win here.
I mean,
Rising
Tri-State?
Panda. Sorry,
you mean
my
Rising
results
Panda,
page is
right?
completely bugged out, so I'm going off of wrong information. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I had a hard time in quali to put a lap together. I don't know. I had a slow start to my day in general. And then, yeah, we started from P9, but we knew we had the pace. Put a lot of practice in. And then slowly worked our way forward until the first full course yellow, or the second full course yellow, where we decided to not pit and were flushed into the lead. And then we had the offset until like way later into the race. And as soon as the rain came, we had a significant pace advantage, and there was some incidents for the guys behind us, or the competition. And then all of a sudden, the only thing I know is we are a lap ahead of P2. And yeah, the end was, God bless, really quiet. Because, yeah, the race itself, the first half was quite
Kind of walk us through the race as a whole, because I know you mentioned it was intense, and of course the weather, no doubt, had a big hand to play in that one. The water never really went away after it dumped itself onto the racetrack, and of course you had the fog to contend with later on. How does that impact just the already immense stress of a 12-hour race?
Yeah, as I said, in the first half we worked our way forward into like P4, just trying to stay on the lead lap, because how the nature of this championship is, it's a fight to the end. Basically the last full course yellow, and then from there it's a sprint, you would say. The rain, I have to say, the whole team, not only the guys that were driving, we put a lot of effort in to figure out the rain after the update. And God bless, we didn't get heavy rain, because that would have been insane. But I think how it was in this race today, it was a lot of fun, at least for us. The car was nice to drive. Yeah, I kind of figured that the rain would not go away that quickly after watching the official slots from iRacing, because even there it took like 45 minutes for sure more rain to go away. But yeah, I just stayed out on wets as long as I could, with some decent lap time, since I had a gap, and didn't have to risk anything until it was ready for dries again.
And of course,
but there was a lot of stuff happening. There was a lot of attrition happening today. A lot of crashes for some people. It was definitely, especially because it was also getting dark, and in the night you can't really figure out where is the dry stuff. So you basically only drive one line, and then that line gets wider and wider. But you have to trust yourself. It's kind of hard, but also a lot
Well,
of
it sure
fun.
looked fun for a lot of you guys out there, and we will hope you'll have just as much fun when we go racing next week in California at Laguna Seca for the Course de Monterrey. Congratulations on taking the race win for LMP2 here today for Rising Panda Racing, and we will see you then next month.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Can I just give a quick shout out? All right. Yeah, shout out to the whole team. As I said, this win was a long. We fought hard for it. We had some hardships in past championships. Thanks to the whole guys, not only those that raced, but also the rest that helped prepare. Yeah, thanks a lot to them. Thanks a lot for you guys and VSCA for making this happen. And see
Christian
you next
Kim
race.
Prager joining us up here in the broadcast booth. Your race winners in LMP2. We still have no word on your overall race winners tonight, so we will continue to move things on down to the driver of Nicholas Soul, one of the runners that finishes it off for Fisher Motorsports in a Team 1-2. Austin, you're standing by with our GT Pro winners.
Nicholas, congratulations on bringing it home for the GT Pro here for Fisher Motorsport. The 84 team finishing off a 1-2 for Fisher Motorsport in the GT Pro category. Great job by the whole team. Just kind of walk us through your race, man.
Thank you so much. It's been an incredibly tough race. We've been struggling, like many other teams, with a lot of issues, both on the hardware side and, on the other hand, it was a very busy race on that track with that many cars. So, yeah, we kind of had to switch our lineup last minute. We were originally planned to drive with 3 guys on the 84 and 2 people on the 44. But due to issue from one of the guys with his PC, we had to switch last minute to a 2-person lineup, which changed our whole plan. And then we unfortunately had the same issue as last year, which meant a disconnect in lap 7 due to an issue with the internet provider, which put us to the back of the grid. And it was a tough way to work forward from that. So we basically, from that point on, just waited for the full course yellow to get a wave by. And from there, we just kind of worked our way forward. The rain was a bit tricky, but what definitely made a difference for us was getting the call right when switching to wet tires and dry tires. That almost gave us that lap advantage we had in the end.
Just how difficult was it for y'all to manage the rain portion of this race? I mean, it created a lot of chaos. There were a lot of wrecks going on the racetrack, especially about halfway through the rain. It seemed like the track took a big turn and became a lot more difficult to stay on. What was the biggest challenge for y'all during that section of the race?
Biggest challenge for sure was just to keep an eye out on track. So in that portion when the rain started, we basically switched drivers from me going out of the car in the dry. We stayed out in the dry on dry tires till the last minute, then came in, switched to wet tires, put Manuel in the car because he's, just a absolute wet magician for some reason. And he drove the whole wet stint, which in the end helped us because when I went back into the car, it was almost back on dry tires again. So I wasn't used to the wet, slippery stuff, and he wasn't used to the drying up line, which then helped us to, gain a lot of lap time compared to other people who were still a bit scared to push on that dry line. But it was definitely tough to manage. It was mainly just spotting, looking at the live stream from you guys at the same time because you guys were showing all those replays from cars going off, and we were kind of just managing our way through, looking at the tires as well. And yeah, it was definitely a tough one, but very, very intense.
Well, Nicholas, congratulations on winning for the GT Pro class, putting on a heck of a show out there. And like I said, Fisher Motorsport 1-2. You guys got to be feeling awesome over there after this result, knowing that y'all got a ton of momentum going forward to the next event. So just big congratulations on tonight, and looking forward to talking to you again maybe in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's definitely been a tough one for us, and yeah, we're so happy to have made this.
Well, congrats again once again, Nicholas. I can't talk. I've lost my mind at the end of this thing. That was a long, crazy race, man.
Same for
Y'all had
us.
us on the edge of our seats. But congrats again, once again, and looking forward to seeing you compete in the next one.
Yeah, thanks for the amazing live stream, guys. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. That was GT Pro winner Nicholas Soul for Fisher Motorsport number 84. Next up, I think Nolan Rimple is going to talk to our GT Am winner.
We'll bring Quinn Mitchell up here to the broadcast booth, the driver that is able to come home and take what I imagine is probably a bittersweet victory for the Digital Chicane crew. I know you were looking for a Team 1-2 today. It didn't quite pan out that way, though. It's got to be an emotional afternoon then after 12 hours.
Oh, certainly, yeah. But two cars on the podium, you can't ask for much better. And Paulo, actually, one of our other drivers, my roommate, is here with me to share the interview.
Oh, well, hello to you as well then, Paul.
Hey, how about that race?
It was certainly a race. So kind of walk us through the race as a whole, because I know a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I know that 80 car in particular had a few knocks about it with some runners from fellow GTM runners. Kind of walk us through the recovery drives to put that car into victory lane.
Oh yeah, we had a disconnect for a while that put us down to 8th, like 2 laps down. That was our biggest one. But we had a lot of scraps with other people, but we were, I think our confidence in the wet really helped us come back, and the ability to switch to the dry tires so early was a huge gain that really put us, in the position we are now.
It's no doubt a big win for Digital Chicane this afternoon. It's going to propel you even closer towards the top of the team's championship, especially with the fact that Screech Moose Motorsports did not have the best of afternoons. Are we going to be seeing that car being more competitive in the championship going forward?
Yeah, I think that our car has been competitive every week so far. We've had a little bit of bad luck. We finished 4th at the Rolex. We finished 2nd at Long Beach. The season 1 BOP was a little bit, I wouldn't say that the Mercedes was inherently faster. It was just better on the straights, which made it real tough to pass. And I mean, it doesn't help that Screeching Moose has some fantastic drivers who know definitely how to defend. And yeah, I mean, we've been knocking on the door every week. We've had a Digital Chicane car on the podium every race this season. And I don't think that should be understated, because this team has such heart and doesn't ever give up. Quinn, Matt, Ryan, Kyle, Ethan, even Chris, who was in for the Rolex, they all do such a great job. Everybody put in such a work ethic. We've been practicing for this. We were practicing for this during the Bathurst 12-hour. That's how much effort we put into this in each and every race. And I just couldn't be prouder of this crew, man. It's so special to be up here.
Well, we saw you have some really fantastic battles out there this afternoon, and I know you and Screech Moose Motorsports, you came to blows more than once over the course of this race. Will we be seeing more shots fired across the bow next week in Laguna Seca? Not next month, sorry.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They're a great crew to race with, and we had some, yeah, like you said, incredible battles today. Real wheel-to-wheel stuff. I think we had those battles at Daytona. We had those battles at Long Beach for sure. This is just sort of the way it fell today, but I'm sure you'll see a lot more wheel-to-wheel.
Well, looking forward to it. Thanks, Quinn, for joining us up here tonight. Congratulations on taking that GTM Digital Chicane car to a win.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Broadcast is great. Thank you.
Yeah, love it.
Quinn
Thanks,
Mitchell
guys.
and his roommate joining us up here in the broadcast booth. And, well, Austin, that, I think, just about does it. What a race. What an absolutely wild race. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. That race was a madhouse.
I'm just glad that we got to experience the rain. We got to test it out. We got a good sample size of exactly how it works. And that was a light rainstorm. That was not even, I mean, that was like the lightest of rainstorms that we could get in the sim. So I can't wait to find out more about it as the season goes on. Kind of stinks we have to wait a whole month to see the next to see the next race.
We may be waiting a whole month to see more racing action for the VSCA Sports Car Championship, but that doesn't mean we're going away on Green Flag TV. Tomorrow morning, the Classic IndyCar Series presented by Butt Kicker will swing to the Lone Star State for their first ever race at Circuit of the Americas and the season opener of their 10th anniversary season. Austin Edstrom and I will be with you for every single lap of racing action then of what is bound to be an absolutely epic series. We'll also have the ASR Next Gen Cup Series back in full force tomorrow night as well. They will be down and racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then, of course, all of our usual weekly shows throughout the course of the coming weeks as well. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, you can check us out today at www.greenflight.com. Want to give a big thanks as well to Ryan Walker and Lorenzo Bonder for all of their hard work in the first 6 hours of this race and making sure that this race was as good as it could possibly be. Despite the technical issues, we appreciate all of you for sticking around as well and sticking with us through the end. This was a finish that will no doubt be remembered. My name is Nolan Rempel, alongside Austin Edstrom. We've been bringing you the final 6 hours from the 12 hours of Sebring for the VSCA Sports Car Championship. We'll see you tomorrow when we go IndyCar racing in Texas.